I'm setting it live on my end, and then we'll put this thing full screen if I can figure out how.
Muted.
Oh no, that's not it.
Okay, and YouTube says, there we go. Okay, we're on YouTube.
Yay!
Right on.
Woo.
Hi.
Okay, so why don't we go across and, everybody give a brief introduction of yourself.
Echo.
What are you doing?
I pressed the button to make it go full screen again. That'd be great.
If we've got the echo,
doing?
did somebody forget to mute the YouTube on theirs?
I did. I muted it, so I'm good.
That was me. That was me.
Muted.
Okay.
Hi, I have very shit memory.
No, it's a common thing. I do a lot too, so.
No, I actively have very shit memory.
So we're talking
some days
about the
don't remember my own
NIFB,
name.
right?
Okay, well, why don't we give everybody a chance to introduce themselves since we don't seem to all know each other anyway. So, One Witch, why don't we start with you?
Hi, I'm half of One Atheist, One Witch. I'm the witch half, my husband's the atheist half, and we just started a YouTube channel where we kind of try to demonstrate how pagans and atheists can work together, and also have a series where I'm reading the Bible for the first time and apparently coming up with 5 pages of questions on Genesis chapter 1. So
Give it. It's awesome. It's really awesome.
Okay, and
It's
how
hilarious
would you
to remind
prefer
me to
people
read the
address you in the chat?
you can witch, one witch, what the craft. It's all
What the
good.
craft, okay.
Who's next?
Okay, then next we have Aaron.
Hi, I am Erin from Erin's Chair. I deal with a lot of disability awareness and how sometimes religion doctrine and just anti-harm and religion can really fuck with disabled people.
Yeah, I'm becoming more and more aware of how much religion is messing with medical professionals.
It's getting scary. It's getting very scary. Because there's a lot of Christian churches that are like, don't go to the doctor, we'll heal you. And it's like, you're not going to heal somebody of something like hereditary neuropathy with liability to pressure palsy. You're not going to heal somebody of that because there's a huge H word in there.
Okay,
I'm
and
not-
then
Who am I next?
yeah, well, I'm going by the order they are on my screen. So the next we have the bad-tempered pumpkin.
Hello, I'm normally a badger. I'm a bad-tempered badger. I talk about things on the internet, a good bit of atheist-related stuff and religious things, and also I talk about other things that I think are important to me at the time, or just whatever I feel like talking about.
A few lovely wildlife videos there.
Oh, and I do wildlife videos, yes.
Of course.
About badgers.
Yeah.
And then we have the unpronounceable Beelzebub.
Probably the first I've heard you correct all day. And all day is only the last like 10 minutes or so. But my name is Beelzebub. Most people call me Bub. And I make mostly atheist content where I primarily focus on hammering the Catholic Church.
Okay, and then we have Christopher.
Well, I'm an ex-Mormon, pagan, Epicurean, syndicalist. I mostly do ASCII art. That's what I'm most famous for, apparently, now. And I really don't have much of a channel. If my computer was working better, I would be doing more videos on my Godless Epicurean channel, but as my computer is a piece of crap right now, yeah. I'll make do with ASCII art.
ASCII art is a fantastic art form. I always appreciate seeing it. So you've got a fan here automatically.
Well, thank you.
Okay, and then we have inordinate refraction.
I've chatted with her. She forgets to push the microphone button on.
Yeah, I can see that her microphone is muted here. Are you with us, Inordinate? You need to unmute yourself. Oh, just dropped out of the stream. Okay, then we have Randolph. You need to unmute yourself as well.
I was going off her to see if somebody would say something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my name is Randolph Richardson. I am the founding president of the Canadian Atheists. I am particularly interested in today's topic because I have been trying to contact the NIFB, the New International Fundamentalist Baptists movement.
New Independent Fundamental Baptists.
New Independent Fundamental Baptists. Yeah, thank you for correcting.
You're welcome, man.
I do want to make sure I get people's names right. I would like to have a public conversation / debate with them. The first stage, finding out what their real positions actually are, and find out where there is area of agreement, and then proceeding into a debate with them where we go over the things that we disagree on, because from what I can see, it looks like there's a lot of things that I disagree with.
There we go.
And they have a branch in a neighboring city here, so that's why I have a particular interest in talking with them, as well as all the nasty things that they seem to be promoting.
Okay, can we go back to inordinate refraction? Did you hit the wrong button there?
Yeah, pretty much. Also, this building has some pretty shit Wi-Fi. It cuts out every now and again, so sorry if I disappear sometimes. So my name is Inordinate Refraction, but that's a pretty pretentious name, so you can just call me IR. I'm a physics major right now, and I mainly focus on debunking pseudoscience. That's about it.
Okay, and we have Sassy Atheist.
Hi! I'm Sassy. I'm Sassy Atheist. I have my own YouTube channel. I talk about many different things. I talk about religion, politics, LGBTQ community, and just a variety of different things. And I'm also on Twitter at SassyAtheist19. So, yay!
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure who we have here because it just says the atheist on my screen, which is pretty open here.
Atheist rationale.
So if you want to talk about pretentious names in inordinate refraction, my name is the most pretentious of all. I call myself the atheist rationale, despite probably not being the most rational atheist on the platform here on YouTube. But I still do a little something here on YouTube. I mostly do research regarding this cult that we're going to be talking about today. I've worked a lot with Cirrus and some of the bigger names like Telltale, and all of them. And yeah, I also like to call out hate that comes out of a lot of religious fundamentalism, debunk pseudoscience, Christian or otherwise, and goof on some cringe. That's always fun. So, you know, basically I do the same thing every other atheist YouTuber does.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't recognize you by sight, but I know you really got this started, and that Cirrus said that you had done a lot of the background research for some of his videos.
Yeah, I brought the NIFB to his attention, actually, and Raging Atheist as well, and I'm basically the reason why everybody's calling it a cult, which is kind of nice, I guess, to have some impact.
Well, I mean, Telltale did do the bite model breakdown, and they do fit, so.
Yeah.
Which I could have told anybody that, but that's Ow.
Well, thank you for the great work you've been doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm PurpleRhymesWithOrange. I'm trying to get my channel going, but I really don't know what I'm doing. if you can tolerate the poor production standards. I've done a few videos on more obscure holidays and things. But yeah, I definitely plan on getting more into the debate. I don't want to do actual live debates or reaction videos, but I'll definitely be getting a lot more opinions in there.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's always fun.
He's
Yeah, I'm
sort of
working on
a
a video about
Triceratops
Stephen
looking
Anderson
guy,
right
so
now,
he
so
must be good.
It's getting interesting.
Yeah, well, my channel is now gross. I've got 144 subscribers.
Woo woo woo!
Congratulations!
Congrats.
I am almost 800 now, I think.
Jeez, on Crow.
Wow.
I'm
You got
80.
30.
I have 788 subscribers, and they are all amazing. Anyway,
I'm 85, I think. 85. I'm little compared to you all. Well, not
I just
anymore.
went past
Not
1,000,
all.
which is kind of insane to me because I believe I don't deserve it.
I don't deserve
I don't make nearly
99.
enough content to have 1,000 subscribers. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't deserve any of my subscribers. They are all amazing. So I'm just like, I love all of them.
I thought mine was at 12. I realized it snuck up to 21 on me. So I post so little, so I'm grateful for all of it.
You know what that means? Everybody in the chat right now has to go and subscribe to Randolph over here.
Randolph spelled with an F.
Okay, just a little shout out in the side chat. Sloth Girl slowly is my companion and is, kind of helping to moderate the side chat here for me. So,
Oh, hi, Shannon.
oh, Shannon.
Hello.
I
go.
think we still have room for you if you want to pop in here.
I think we still have room for Shannon.
Oh,
Should have room.
I don't.
Cool, she
Some
jumps
of
in.
you, I think I've told at least the majority of you. I don't know if I don't think. What's your name? Christopher, and yeah, but oh my God, when Atheist Rationale, he told me that, hey, they're taking calls in at the conference. I was like, my heart was beating. I'm like, oh, should I do this? Should I call? And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say, and it wouldn't answer. And then finally, Tommy McMurray, he answered, and I just lost. I was like, all I have to say is that you are a very horrible, despicable human being. and then he said, I am really? And it's like, yeah, you called for the death of homosexual people. You should be ashamed of yourself. And he hung up on me. And then,
oh, what a shame.
And then the person that called in next, he's like, hey, did you listen to that previous caller?
Yeah, it was great. I got kicked out of their chat for posting a pumpkin.
Oh no.
They were dropping ban hammers like crazy on that stream, which is hilarious because they complain about censorship and all that stuff, but then they go ahead and censor everybody commenting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, why
got a
would
little
they be
too-
so sensitive about pumpkins?
I don't know, but I did see an account that was named Tommy McMurtry that confirmed his attraction to pumpkins. So
rest in peace, that account.
So
I
what
made
are
so many.
So what are the most egregious claims of the NIFB? Like I've heard them talking about wanting the government to line up people for their sexual orientation, specifically homosexual, and shooting them to death.
Not just LGBT members, but LGBT members and their allies. They are anti-vax. They're Holocaust deniers, because that's a fucking thing.
Wow. Okay.
I really want to do that, but I know I shouldn't.
Do it.
Yeah. It goes a little bit farther than that, though. They puppet a lot of like those white supremacist conspiracy theories when it comes to Judaism. Like they're trying to take control over the media. They have control of the colleges so they can push their agenda on you. And all that kind of nonsense. It's pretty wild, honestly. And, even in that stream, I grabbed a couple of screenshots from people saying that they'd want to do the same thing that I know, appealing to Godwin's law over here. They want to do some of the same things that Hitler did to Jewish people as well as LGBTQ plus people.
They're pretty horrendous.
You know,
they're dazzling.
I've been familiar with Steven Anderson for quite some time. I remember watching one of his sermons, and he was talking about just putting down single mothers and how it's disgraceful, and it's and just saying horrible stuff. And I got so offended because my mom raised me as a single mother. Okay, I rarely had a father in my life, so
I was raised by my biological mother as a single mother up until I was 14.
I was raised by a single mom.
And it's just the things that he says, I really want to flip the bird on him, but
at some point it might be wise to talk about their views on gender equality and their views on beating children, because that's the
video my dude. The video I'm actually doing is their views on birth control and gender equality.
You got their documentary. Did you get a copy of their documentary about birth control by any chance?
I don't have the documentary about birth control. However, I do have Steven Anderson's sermon, and it's on my computer right now. So if you would like, I can email it to you.
I might have it, but I would still like a link. I have their documentary on it too, so I'll send that to you after.
I don't know documentaries now.
They don't have all of them on the.
They don't have all of them on there.
Not yet. No. Yeah.
I know they're still putting things up though.
I'm assuming that IFB tube, whatever, is like brand new, so it's going to be a little while before they get everything.
Just dropped yesterday. It was just announced yesterday.
The whole thing is they're running scared now because we're like on this whole like the platforming spree right now, and they're really worried that they're going to get kicked off their social media platforms. They just
you can see it.
Faithful Word Baptist Church LA, the one Bruce Mejia runs, was actually their Facebook page was shut down today for hate speech.
Awesome.
I just sent you a thing, so you send me the thing, and then I'll send you my thing.
Sure. I was going to do it after the stream.
Real quick, are they connected to Quiverful, or has that not been confirmed?
Not really.
So
they're not exactly the Quiverful movement. It's its own separate cult. However, they have Quiverful doctrine. They take a verse from the Bible that says that you need to keep your quiver full of children. So they basically use their women as baby factories.
Yeah.
Steven Anderson himself has 11 children.
I know. I couldn't.
It's insane.
I'm like,
supposed to fit in a quiver.
What makes it kind of worse, honestly, though, is they're supposed to subscribe to this like once saved, only saved thing. All you have to do is like have faith in Jesus and you're saved or whatever. That only applies to the men. For the women, they have to have a baby for their congregation in order for them to be saved, which is probably a little more fucked up than anything else. Well, actually, no, because they believe in marital rape as well. Marriage is permanent consent to them.
When I saw was a Steven Anderson say that there's no such thing as rape in marriage,
Yeah,
sounds very.
Sounds like that. See, I don't blame you. A lot of their stuff is really hard to stomach after like listening to it.
I know I told some of you, but for anyone in the chat that doesn't know about it, Steven Anderson in an interview and many other times before had said that LGBTQ stand for let God burn them quickly.
All the pastors were saying that. They even had a TV screen that said that on there during their conference, which is the news media glossed over it.
Last night I went down a rabbit hole.
Tried to like show it. They tried to like hide it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
last night,
no.
Yeah. Last night I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube looking for Christians that had spoken out or anything, and it goes back 9 years that they have been dealing with him, at least on YouTube, but no call to action, no call to get him out of the community or protest him or anything. It's pray for him, pray for the community. I rebuke what he's saying. No, he's misinterpreting. Like, what they were saying wasn't that much better than what he's saying. They just weren't saying, no, we need to put them to death. Like, that was the only thing that they weren't saying.
You talked about Mike Winger's video on it yesterday, right?
Yeah, hold on. I got notes. Because I watched that last night. And, okay, this thing has been seen, when I looked at it last night, the views were like, oh, where did I put those notes? Okay, there it is. 45,000, over 45,000 views on this video. Okay, it's unclear whether or not he's denouncing Steven Anderson or what Steven Anderson says. Like, that's never really clear. He does reach out to anybody that's following Steven Anderson to, like, leave, not watch him on YouTube, unsubscribe from him, those kind of things.
Oh, that's going to be funny because he's going to reach out to, like, my other Twitter because I'm blocked by Steven Anderson and the NIFB. And I'm going to be like, I'm fighting these people. It's fine.
Right. And then he still says homosexuality is a sin, but he says that everybody is a sinner in some form or fashion, and the sin of homosexuality is equal to adultery and equal to murder and, you know, any other sin that's listed in the Bible. They're all equal. Like,
he's basically puppeting the same thing that Anderson says, minus the death penalty then.
Pretty much.
Nothing changes.
Yeah. And then, like, he's arguing to starve him out. Don't give him attention. Ignore him. Starve him out. He'll go away. And then, like, the last minute of his video is literally like a sales pitch of, don't follow Anderson, follow me. And I'm like, what the did I just watch?
Follow me instead. I'm marginally not as bad.
Pretty much.
And there's a really important thing that What the Crack pointed out when we were talking, was it yesterday? And she said that there's not a lot of Christians that are speaking out against the NIFB, and it's mostly atheists and some pagans. So what? Is there any Christian that speaks out against it? But is there any Christian that is there against it? Like, literally, is there some Christian out there?
This one guy.
I could. Well, the only
No. He sometimes agrees with what they're saying or tries to turn it and make it a little bit more innocent. Screw that.
I've talked to him seriously about it. He fucks around a little too much, and it's kind of annoying. But like
the most that I could find is
made videos about like calling. He's made videos where he's put out a call to action, telling people, other Christians, that they need to rebuke what Anderson and all of them say.
Okay, Sharon Q is saying inspiring philosophy did.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I totally forgot about that.
I need to go and check that out, because the most that I could find is we don't agree with him calling for the death penalty. They agree with everything else, but they don't agree with the death penalty aspect of it. And I'm just like, how is that any better?
It's not really.
Marginally.
Okay, so you don't want us to die, but we're still wrong. Gee, thanks.
I've noticed that a lot of Christians disagree on a variety of points in the Bible, and it's
oh yeah.
There's even different versions and different translations to support that, and when you start getting like general large points that there is a God of Christianity and there was Jesus, generally there's agreement. But when it gets down to the fine points, there's people are all over the place.
When I was on my volunteer meeting, I was talking about just a tiny bit of like why it was my first time doing the event, and it's sexual, and it was my first time actually like truly accepting my sexuality. It's the lady that was helping organize it. She says that I still believe in Jesus, and there's a pastor that actually goes around and teaches people that homosexuality isn't a sin, that it's misinterpreted. And okay, but
if I'm remembering correctly, Digital Hammurabi and Skylar Fiction just did a video on that where they go over a lot of the old Hebrew texts and point out how they did and stuff.
Yeah, there's like a verse, like Leviticus 18:22 talks about homosexuality being a sin. And was it Leviticus chapter 20 or 21? I think it's one of those other two that talks about it too.
The one they really push around is Leviticus 20:13.
Okay, then I either said it was there chapter 20 or 21. Okay, so it's chapter 20. Okay, yeah, that one, and the ones that one is what I hear a lot in Leviticus 18:22.
Well, it seems to me that when they're saying a man shall not lie with another man, that they're targeting specifically male homosexuality.
Well, in Leviticus 18:22 says, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind, for it is abomination." So in that verse, it's both ways. It's talking about both. Yeah.
I bet we can find the reason for that if we check their Pornhub history.
Yeah,
I had also heard that could be interpreted not as a man lying with a man, but a man lying with a boy. That it was actually more reference to pedophilia.
That's
I think that point's lost on the Catholic priests.
I'm trying to find that Skylar Fiction video so I could like post it in the chat for everybody.
I mean, the church, it doesn't speak out against pedophilia, more about pedestry than pedophilia, really.
Yeah. The distinction, a lot of people don't get that.
Because the Greeks actually legalized pedestry because a lot of their apprentices would be blowing off steam for the masters of their trades.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, Greeks, and I think I don't know if the Norse did it or not, but the Greeks definitely did have legalized pedestry.
What was age expectancy like back then?
When I was almost became Catholic, and I was remember talking to some church members, and they were we were talking about what was going on, and with priests, and the main excuse, or the only thing that they really said about it was, not all priests are like that, and it's a shame that they went down that road, but we'll pray for them, and God will forgive them. That's basically what was said about them. It was
That's if I've heard them. Anytime I've heard them mentioned by other Christians at all, it's always been well, you can't just let a few bad apples spoil the whole religion. And that's about all they'll say, and then they try to brush it away.
Yeah, it's...
You kind of can brush all of them with that. You kind of can brush through a whole religion with that brush. Because the protection for these pedophile priests goes literally all the way to the top.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Well, I mean,
that's the problem. Is when the leader of the religion is not willing to speak it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Pope Francis hasn't done enough. Not by a long shot. Benedict XVI, the last pope, when he was still Bishop Ratzinger, sent out an edict to all the priests, basically threatening parishioners with excommunication if they spoke out. It really goes to the top in the Catholic Church.
I've seen a quote of George Pell saying that abortion is a worse moral scandal than priests sexually abusing young people. It's like a failed PR campaign of some sort.
Didn't we start to
that something like?
Speaking of pedophiles, did you guys know that Alex Jones got caught distributing child pornography?
Oh,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Didn't one of the NIFB pastors get hit in April for child molestation?
I have no idea. It might.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't know how surprised I'd be, but I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised either, but I don't know about that.
But you know what? I can't. One of the worst excuses and to dismiss all the actual bad things that are happening in this world is when Christians either say love the sinner, hate the sin, or forgive them for no matter what people say or do. I cannot stand that. I used to believe in that. I used to forgive no matter what. Someone in this chat right now could have said that they hated me or that I deserved to die, and I still would have. I would have been. I would have said, well, I'll be praying for you. I wish you wouldn't think like that, but I'm not mad at you. I forgive you, and I would have been praying for you to God. And now I just can't stand it because that's all I hear, and it's just a damn excuse.
Well, see, here's the thing, and I do want to go back a little bit and hopefully circle back to the NIFB because the Catholic Church is a takedown for another day. When you brought up this Christian who was telling people to pray for the NIFB, the people in it, the pastors and all that, and that it's not actually a call to action, they consider prayer a call to action. To us, it's doing nothing, and unfortunately, it kind of seems like it's on us to change their minds about that because prayer really does fuck all. You need to actually get out and do what the atheist community, the pagan community, and whoever else has been going after the NIFB and actually hitting them in the wallet for it hurts. I mean, they've lost at least 3 PayPal accounts. I'm not sure how many others. Their socials are getting taken down almost as quickly as they pop up. That's what works. You actually have to hit them where it counts. And saying just pray for them is going to do nothing.
Here's something pretty interesting about the deplatforming thing. You guys know that YouTube has a policy that if one of your channels gets taken down, you lose all privileges on YouTube, right?
I did not know that.
Really?
Well,
so
yeah, that's a thing. This actually happened to Keemstar, but the way he gets around it is somebody else owns the channel and he just uses it. Anyway. The same thing happened to Stephen Anderson. He has a live stream account that got banned. So if we get enough people to report his Faithful Word Baptist channel or whatever, we can get that shut down pretty easily.
I actually putting in chat.
According to hang on,
I'm not totally comfortable.
Anderson is live right now.
I'm not totally comfortable with getting people's channels shut down necessarily because as an advocacy for freedom of expression, like
here's the whole thing with that. Here's the whole thing with that. See, they're advocating for violence.
Oh yeah.
And doing that is not only not protected by the First Amendment, it's also against constitutional law. I have I don't remember the name of it by heart or whatever, but I do have a screenshot that has all that information. I could pull it up.
I agree with that. The concern I have is when people are censored the long-term effect can be even worse, because if you force people underground, then they don't stop. They just build echo chambers, and then it's like a pressure cooker. Eventually, they explode, and then they come out even worse. And that's the concern I have with it. I like the idea of advocating violence, but I worry about this possibility.
The way that they've been able to,
which is that we don't want. It'd be best to try to make sure that the condemnation of the NIFB members that are advocating for violence and violence to death and all that kind of activity, I think it's important to try to make sure that the condemnation of them doesn't spread beyond them to people who aren't doing the same thing. That people are still able to distance themselves from them and go, okay, I don't want to be part of that. I'm still Christian, if that person is, but I don't want to be part of that. I think it's important to not tar everyone with the same brush and make sure that people can distance themselves from it.
And I think a lot of Christians are used to that by dismissing it as being a different denomination or dismissing them as extremists. So, this division
somebody's feedback
is natural.
And if I may say something,
yeah,
real fast. I was in the military, so I did fight for people's rights to, free speech and everything else, which was. But here's my stance on it. Your right to free speech stops when you are impinging on other people's rights and safety.
Exactly.
And so, what the NIFB does, and they've been spreading this shit since I was at least 17, maybe younger, for years. What they do is they're spreading hatred. They're spreading these people need to die because they're not like us. Your free speech has now stopped at the point you were saying these people need to die.
Yep, that's advocating for injury or death is a serious problem.
Here's the reason why deplatforming their YouTubes and their PayPals and all that stuff actually has a huge impact. Sure, they might have 60 to 200 members in every church. By the way, it's now 6 countries and 31 churches. They just landed in New Zealand, which is
it's not confirmed
terrifying.
They're in New Zealand yet. They are sending somebody
for church planting.
Okay, they are so sending somebody to confirm the church in Auckland does meet their standards.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Anyway,
I'm pretty sure. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
A large part of their funding comes from the 100,000 plus online members that have access to their PayPal and stuff. It's not just the members of the church that actually make up this NIFB cult. Stephen Anderson is considered 4chan's pastor, if that means anything to you guys as well.
There's also 36 churches. Minor correction.
36 now? What?
Wow, they're growing.
And about 5 of them are still under the confirmation process.
Okay.
I was just gonna.
Do you know if the one in Canada
join in there?
Their confirmation right now?
What's up?
When I started
I should join in there and
researching
say, as specifically a freedom of speech and freedom of expression advocate, I think these guys are going too far with it, and that they are directly advocating violence now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you happen to
feel
know?
like it's a step farther than that. It's like governmental, systemic genocide.
Real quick, somebody had made.
Somebody's trying to ask me a question, and I can't hear multiple people at once. I'm sorry.
Aaron, I'm just wondering if you happen to know offhand if the church in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, is one of the ones that's under confirmation process right now, or if it has been confirmed.
I think it's still under confirmation.
Okay.
But what they do
Randomly,
is they can't send Stephen Anderson to New Zealand because he's actually banned from New Zealand.
He's banned from 32 countries now. It's great.
Wow. Yeah, and he doesn't even
send
care.
An emissary to the country in place of Stephen Anderson to do this purity confirmation test. And I'm like, get a hint, guys. You're not wanted. So,
and was it South Africa? They had a whole bunch of petition to, I think it was for Stephen Anderson was allowed to come there, but he had to be very careful. He said, I think I read that.
Randolph,
Steven Anderson's allowed in South Africa and Philippines, but he's under restrictions of what he can say publicly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
See if that
Okay.
works.
And I mean, he got banned from Ireland. Ireland is the hardest country on the planet to get banned from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ireland's been going through a lot of changes lately. Yeah.
Well,
somebody
you say
had
Ireland's hard
mentioned.
you say Ireland's hard to get banned from, but at the same time, Ireland still has blasphemy laws on the book.
Anti-blasphemy laws. Yeah.
You know, and like 2 years ago, they actually took a guy to court for saying he was an atheist.
Wow, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it in Ireland where they tried to take Stephen Fry to court?
Yeah, they tried to take Stephen Fry to court, but I don't think it stuck.
I remember that. That was hilarious.
No, it didn't stick. I remember that, but I couldn't
It didn't
remember where
stick
it
with the
happened.
UN.
Right, just a little comment from over in my chat here. What was going on with, what were the comments on Mike Winger again? Because I didn't quite dig in some of that part of the conversation.
He has done a video called Steven Anderson versus the Biblical Gospel. And yeah, go look at the video if you want. Basically, it boils down to he's rebuking what Anderson says, but not necessarily Anderson himself. And like the last minute of the video is, "Don't follow him, follow me. Follow me."
All right, fair enough. Now I've just had comments from over in my chat about Mike Winger's position being, I think, all New Testament and just let me know the rest of it.
The position
still being a sin, but not. It shouldn't be punished by death or anything along those lines. I just want to pass that on because it's been specifically requested I do so.
Yeah, that was his position in the video too.
I haven't seen his video, so I'm just commenting what I'm reading here.
Yeah, that was his position in the video. Homosexuality is still a sin, but if you were to punish all sins that are listed in the Bible with the death punishment, then pretty much everybody in the world would die.
Yep.
Okay.
That's his point.
Yeah. I just wanted to check that that we're on the same page with what was being said there, because there were comments in my chat just talking about whether we were representing it accurately. Okay, thanks everyone.
Okay. And real quick, Randolph, you had mentioned that something about they look at it as, oh, that's a different denomination. That's not us.
Well,
I literally
Christians talk like that, so
I'm
thinking that could happen, right?
That's something I'm hearing from some Christian friends that I still have. They're like, well, that's not us. That's a different denomination. I'm like, here's the issue. That's still under your umbrella, that something needs to be done. So I have some friends who are actively trying to do something now about the NIFB.
Oh, good.
I did see a video last night, and I believe it was an IFB church, not an NIFB church. And hopefully somebody in the Hangout can help me out with the exact verse. But they referenced a verse in the Bible that alluded to getting mixed up in the drama of another church is like taking an angry dog by the ear. You're going to get bit. Don't do it.
Yeah, there's a Bible verse about that. I don't think it quite applies.
I don't agree with them at all, but somebody had kind of touched on that point, so I wanted to say, yeah, there's a YouTube video out there that makes that exact point.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't remember exactly what verse you're talking about, but I know they're really big on not allowing their members to have any access to non-cult sources of information, and they claim that all these other churches that are NIFB are run by reprobates who are just trying to turn people away from Christ or whatever, which is kind of fucking ridiculous. But
I've heard they're quite proactive in calling out other churches that they disagree with, so I guess that's part of their way
Oh,
of
yeah.
maybe recruiting
Yeah.
more. maybe
This
possibly
is
as well.
actually how they first got their feet on the ground. Anderson's big thing, and this was actually something the old IFB would do as well. When he stepped foot in Tempe, he would go to other churches and record like some of their doctrinal beliefs and whatever, and then he'd go out and make a DVD rebuking that person and then distributing it to the members of the church in hopes that he can grab people around and turn people away from it. They still do that now, actually, which is pretty far out there, but
Well, in talking about Byte Model and NIFB and stuff, in watching Steven Anderson, if someone within his own congregation questions him, he kicks them out.
I can't.
Yeah.
He tells them,
Sometimes
he literally
with force.
tells them to get the fuck out of his church.
Yeah, sometimes he has this like little I think they're called like brothers, the people that are just a step up above the regular members. They'll like manhandle these people and like throw them across the room, and
they'll drag them out of the church.
Yeah, there's a problem there when your church needs to have bouncers.
Right?
That's essentially what they are.
I'm only on my I can't, I'm only on my second mug of coffee and I still can't deal with this.
Yeah, I'm having a problem dealing with this because it's the middle of the afternoon and I can't deal with NIFB level of stupidity and hate while I'm sober, and it's too early to be drinking that much.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's too early? It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Well, y'all,
It's all right. We're into drinking time.
Just
over
take
here.
a nap
I'm
when
fine.
you come down. You'll feel fine.
Yeah,
I think
if
I'm
there's
gonna-
ever a reason to
I'm
drink,
just
the
kidding.
NIFB is a reason to drink.
Cheers!
Sassy, I'm sending you a
Cheers to
message.
everyone.
I think I'm gonna stay silent. I have nothing to say. I just don't.
And if anybody's curious, I just posted link to a Guardian article about on the blasphemy law. Last year, 2018, for anyone watching in the future, the referendum had 54.85% vote to remove the blasphemy law. So,
Please
You
don't
okay
die.
there, Sassy?
she's choking on coffee. She'll be fine in a second. I do it all the time.
Went
No,
down the wrong
I'm
Coffee.
I'm
I
caught.
actually have to
Happy
grab
old
more coffee. I will be right back.
Who said what to me?
I think you need another brand of coffee.
Is it getting hot? It's getting hot in my room.
I don't know. Maybe you have the same trouble I do with like the single cup coffee makers and ground skate into the coffee.
I don't drink coffee.
Scratches up your throat. I have
It's
that.
annoying.
Some people call me blasphemous for saying this, but I don't drink coffee.
Blasphemer.
There you
I'm
go.
not supposed to drink
Shut
coffee.
up, believer.
Proves the point, doesn't it?
I hate coffee so much. I'm one of those lame people that drinks 2 energy drinks a day.
I don't have energy drinks. No.
I turned it down.
I'm British,
fucking
you see,
terrible
so it's all
addiction.
about the tea over here.
No.
I'm not supposed to be drinking coffee. I cannot have energy drinks. I'm not supposed to be really having caffeine.
I can't. Oh my god.
I've never been able to stand the taste of coffee. I'm with the Britishers. I've just got tea.
I
had the-
wouldn't be having caffeine.
I've
We're
had
all
this
about the
really
tea.
I'm into Chinese tea.
I've had this really bad caffeine addiction for like going on 10 years now, and if I don't have one, I get really bad headaches.
Coffee puts me to sleep.
So I developed a
not
caffeine
true.
addiction while in the military. And then while towards the very end of the military, I got diagnosed with something that affects my heart and cardiovascular system. And they're like, no more caffeine.
I've tried it,
The
but
problem,
it's too hard.
the thing with me is that I
No
can't
cigarettes.
get, hyper off of coffee. Well, normally, but there was this one time I was at work and one of the guys who was working there brought coffee and donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. And I can't stand just drinking their coffee without anything. So I put like 11 packs of sugar in, and I was wired. Like, you think I'm wired now? You don't want to see me when I put sugar packets in, because I normally just put creamer, like half of it's like creamer.
I put
All right.
like this much milk, like quarter of a teaspoon of sucralose because I can't have sugar, some cinnamon.
That's a lovely cup, by the way, Aaron.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the heraldry
It's
looks
got
very nice.
badges on it.
I fill about, hold on, my coffee, because I have a Keurig machine, so it goes up to like about maybe
Here?
like about that. The rest of it is creamer.
Mine goes to about here.
How did we get on coffee again?
Yeah, let's go
I
back
do
to
have a little-
NIFB. They had a straight parade. Why don't we talk about that?
Back, I do have a quick
You
story.
probably had coffee at the straight parade.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Before we get back to the terrible
Please,
stuff.
no.
Well,
Before we get
Bad,
back to
your
the terrible
promises
stuff,
are
I do have a quick
story,
drink
so let's
story
let
for
that
you. So, I don't have sugar in my tea, but whenever I'm around a particular friend's place, he always puts sugar in my tea because he's a dickhead. So,
That makes sense.
I can't stand.
Dave. That's so,
I cannot stand tea.
I'm around his place drinking the tea, and he goes to make a cup of tea, and he puts in like 15 spoons of sugar, as he always does. And I was a bit tired that day, and I just look up. No. I take a sip, and I look up at him and I go, "There's sugar in this," and he goes, "Yep." And I drank it, and suddenly I had a massive sugar rush. Just went hyper for like a minute, and then passed out.
I can't stand tea. I had blueberry cheesecake tea and strawberry cheesecake tea.
Slytherin is just your online personality, Aaron.
I can run with the sugar rush. If I've got enough chocolate and soda, when I do the gaming conventions, I don't have to sleep for 3 days.
That's better than meth.
I mean, I'm in the position where I'm not supposed to be having caffeine, and caffeine does cause heart palpitations. But I'm just like, I'm gonna die one day. It's gonna be fine.
That's how I feel.
Oh.
If I die, I'm gonna die happy.
If I die, I'm going to die with a cup of coffee in my system, and I'll be fine.
Once you die, you don't even know.
Wait, what I missed? And my kids woke up.
We're talking about how I'm not supposed to be having coffee and coffee in general. And I'm like, if I die, I'm gonna die with a cup of coffee in my blood. It's fine.
Okay. To Mark Caesar in the chat, I am a proponent of the milky tea, yes.
Yes,
Depends on the
that's
tea.
the only way to have tea.
Like
Creamer
my Earl Grey right
and/or
here,
milk.
I will have milk in. My British breakfast or anything, I'll have milk in. But herbal teas, no.
As a southerner,
I
it's
didn't
simply
think you're
blasphemy
supposed
the
to
way
put
I
milk
drink
in the
tea.
herbal teas.
So I'm wondering if anybody here went to the straight parade like as a protest. Has anybody been to that?
I thought that wasn't until like October or something.
Oh, that hasn't happened yet. Okay, I thought
In
it was.
August.
Yeah.
It's happened in some places. It's happened in Oklahoma. They've had one, which
Boston
consisted
had
of.
one.
I think the only picture that I've seen of the Oklahoma one, they had 3 dudes show up. There was like 3 people in the picture. And I'm like,
being on completely the wrong continent, I won't be showing up to the straight parade now.
One of the guys that like fucking is running the straight pride parade or whatever is like known for hanging out with Proud Boys and being violent at all these like protests and stuff.
Okay,
it's fucked up, man. Like he's a straight up white supremacist.
Have there been?
I don't get.
Have there been incidents of violence at any of the ones that have happened so far?
Not that I've seen.
Probably not.
Yet.
Okay.
But I'm assuming at this big one that everybody's been publicizing, there's going to be a large Proud Boy presence. And if you don't know anything about them, they're kind of like a domestic terrorist group that's known for like beating the crap out of LGBTQ people.
Oh
for
no, that's not a good recipe.
No.
Please.
Yeah. I was actually worried with the NIFB thing that they would try to plant people in the protest crowd just to strike up violence.
I will be right back again. I just got summoned.
Yeah, that is a military strategy, in fact.
Yeah. I mean, well, all they needed was one guy wearing a rainbow T-shirt to throw a rock, and then they've got an excuse to start shooting at him.
Yep.
You know, we don't
see
have
this history for the guys and even the women showing up to Straight Pride Parade, to be honest. Because
It would be great.
I want to see their
Nice.
porn history. Like, I want to see their porn history.
Well, look at the appliance section at Home Depot.
If we can take my personal history as kind of anecdotal evidence here, even though anecdotal is like the weakest form there is, I was about as anti-gay as you got as a Catholic. But if you looked up my porn history, wealth of lesbian porn there.
I'm pansexual, so you can't use my history for anything.
Oh yes, me too, girl. Oh no. Oh. Oops.
Now, Freudian slip there. Cheers again.
I'm not going to tell you a damn thing about my porn history because that's my bit personal business.
Boo. Hey,
admitting time.
Oh no, I'm sure it's full of pumpkin.
I showed you mine, Badger.
What did I miss?
I just kind of want to
will
say
tell you
how I
that it-
hate how people use fucking virtue signaling as a pejorative for anybody that has like a fucking decent human being opinion. Like LGBTQ people should be able to have their existence. It's fucking ridiculous. You got people in here like
they're trying to
be on the radio.
thing. I think that's the point behind it, is they're trying to silence you. Like, no, just shut up and let me say these awful things I want to say without interruption.
So a few years ago, they're talking about on the radio. A few years ago, they were talking about advertising networks in the pornography industry, and the person they're talking to is saying that one of the big demographics is people in Vatican City are actually look at a lot of porn sites.
Oh yeah, the more restricted the area is to being able to express their sexuality, the higher the rate of watching porn.
And curiosity, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, on Pornhub, Utah is the state with the highest number of hits.
Yep.
And they have a lot of children there too, I understand. Huh.
And like,
I'm
real
actually one of
quick,
those weird people who has never been to a porn site ever.
real quick.
Who
with
hasn't
what,
You mean you're not subscribed to my channel?
what? Everybody in the chat subscribe to Purple Rhymes with Orange right now.
What the heck have I subscribed to? I should probably look at his
I've
videos at
actually
some
like
point, or maybe
no,
not.
I've just legitimately just never really watched porn. It doesn't do anything for me, so it's like, eh.
Really?
Huh?
Yeah.
before I lose my
What's
thought,
that
real quick,
indignation there?
'cause I'm gonna lose my thought because yeah.
Because
But-
this is an exciting
Make the rain. Hey.
Oh Lord. Okay. Back to what AR was mentioning about the virtue signaling thing that kind of triggered a thought with me with like the thing that really irritates me here lately is this concept of free speech that a lot of people have that doesn't, it's like free speech. Hold on, I gotta get my words together. Okay. They take free speech as free speech without consequences. Like they tack on that extra little bit. And yeah, you've got free speech, but
And
that does
then-
not mean you're free from the consequence of what you say.
like James
And then
Bond.
as soon as
License to
anybody
Kill kind of
criticizes
attitude.
them, like legitimately, they're like, "No, you're just trying to silence me." I'm like, "No, I'm fucking criticizing you."
Right.
It's almost like they think they're James Bond with a license to kill.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's not how that
you
works.
have free speech, but so do I, and this is what I have to say about what you just said. Like it or
I have
lump it. Like,
I have something. There's a chat. Someone
I
in
want
the
to
chat
point.
call.
There was a great debate on this recently, actually. Any of you guys know who Vosh is? He's pretty
Yes.
far left, but he's great. We had a debate with Hunter Avalon just a few days ago where they go over speech policing, and it's beautiful. You guys should really check it out. They go over like the whole Kevin Hart jokes or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I think speaking of jokes and freedom of expression and Pornhub and whatnot, I think for the pornography industry, free speech has to go 3 ways.
why only 3?
More the merrier.
Like, why are we limited to 3? I'm confused.
I'm going to get this sentence out at some point this evening. The point of free speech is that the government's not supposed to come and arrest you for saying things unless you're directly inciting violence. It's not to say that people can't then say, no, that's bullshit, and you're wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. As long as it's not some official organization that's doing it, you know,
Question.
it's not an issue.
Question: has anyone seen elderly porn?
No.
No.
I don't watch it, but I'm
Yes, and
terrified
I'm
to know that
trying
this is a
not to
thing.
remember it.
I tell you, the topics.
Anyway,
I tell you, the subtopics being inspired by the NIFB here. I'm really wondering about this cult.
I really gotta like object to the use of elderly and like ask for an age specification because I'm almost 40, so I need some clarification on this.
I'm in denial about my aging, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh,
Exactly.
you know what?
Like, no.
There's been multiple times where I've seen someone drive by with a sticker that says "I love midget porn." I'm not kidding.
I've seen that before. I've seen that. I've seen that.
Why did you to say that?
Well, there might be a little bit of it in Game of
Right
Thrones.
next to that, it says "baby" on board. That'd be terrible.
the thing is, I am learning about porn. I'm just like,
You know, there's part of me. Okay, I'm having an argument with myself
NIFB.
at the moment. Like, I'm having an argument with myself at the moment because I kind of want to bring it back to the NIFB, but I'm also realizing how offended they would be that the video is titled that it's about them, but we're discussing porn. Like, I don't know what the best option is here.
I feel like they just take this, clip it out, and use it for their propaganda.
Yeah,
that's what they honestly would do, because they'd just be like, and they would clip out all the parts where it's like, I'm laughing, that's the parts they would keep, but they would clip out all the parts where I explicitly mentioned that I don't actually watch it. Because, you know,
yeah,
it does nothing for me sexually. I have no problems with it.
We have to bring the topics back together, so obviously we need to discuss pumpkin porn.
I did not realize I was attracted to pumpkin.
Yeah, with an emphasis on movement. With an emphasis on
I
if I laugh
invite
hard,
you
I
around
clap.
to my bar
Sorry.
for a trip to Porn Lane.
Well, I mean, you know, tentacle porn is a big thing, but now with the pumpkins, we have to deal with vine porn.
Wait, okay, is vine porn and tentacle porn, like, are they connected?
It could be.
Okay.
I guess they're both hanging. They are both hanging.
Why not both at the same time?
They are both hanging.
I'm not opposed to both at the same time.
They're both hung.
They both involve wrapping things up and curling things
I can
around.
give you a full detailed history of how tentacle porn actually became a thing.
Wait, what?
That sounds a perfect subtopic for the
Honestly,
NIFB.
you should turn that into a video or something. I'm sure that will
No,
get lots of
there's
clicks.
already a video of how tentacle porn came to be a thing. That's already on YouTube.
I know what I'm going to be looking up.
Okay, I have to admit to a morbid curiosity on how this ever became popular. But...
I'm assuming I know Badger said.
Send. Right. Could somebody send me that video also and a lot of examples of what they mean?
I knew that was coming.
Two things. One, Soft Girls slowly in the chat says purple rhymes with orange. And two, Badger said that he wasn't going to tell anyone, what his history. I bet you has a lot of pumpkins in it.
There you go.
Maybe.
I did not know that pumpkins could be sexy until that website showed up.
Before we
I'm
move
questioning
on, I gotta get
things.
going. I have to watch my nephew. So thanks for having me, and I'll see you all later. All right.
It was
Thanks
fun.
for being
Okay,
on.
well, thanks for stopping in.
See you later, zip-a-zub.
Wow, that's quite an exit. Oh, we lost two here. Oh, there she is.
Oh,
Um,
what
Badger
the?
back
Just kind
in.
of froze for a second. I'm sorry.
The
I
chair
am
rolled
still
up
waiting
for a
for
moment.
this picture that
What's
I am still
that?
waiting for that I'm
I
currently
put it in
using
the
to
chat.
appear on that Pumpkin McMurtry website.
Oh. I put the history in the chat. There you go. Merry
Yeah, I
Christmas,
see
everybody.
there. Yeah.
This went from talking about I said it. I knew it was gonna get so.
Yeah, just,
I
you're
knew
trying to
it.
say. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's gone from hate to love.
Exactly.
Tentacle
They're
love.
so the NIFB is so vile and vicious. You can only talk about them for so long without going to a happy topic with a happy ending.
Happy medium.
Mark Caesar just posted the pumpkin porn for you as well.
No,
Nice.
Excellent.
Some of the pictures in there are extra spicy.
Some of the pictures in there make you question your sexuality.
Definitely.
Rachel Atheist ripped a bunch of pictures from that, and he got like a stream. I mean, one of his streams taken down for like nudity or whatever. For using
Fetish.
pictures from there.
It got taken down for
Well,
fetish.
you're all safe. You're all safe because I'm covered in fur, so we're fine.
But
That could be interpreted in many, many ways.
Fucking great.
That
how
can be
did they
taken
take
in
down a stream
many,
for a
many
fetish?
dark paths.
What?
How did they take down a stream for a fetish when virtually everything can be a fetish?
That's
There
the issue.
are
Everything
Depends on
BDSM
what the
streams
fetish is.
all over YouTube.
Mass
There are-
flagging. That's
Yeah.
basically how it works. If you get enough people to flag like your video or whatever, it can get taken down for like bullshit, basically.
Yeah, because there's educational BDSM channels that have no issues at all.
But
That
they're
have all
totally
kinds of fetish
educational.
stuff.
Could
I
you
don't know.
possibly link me to these?
The BDSM
Roger.
stuff? Just
Yes. And
Search BDSM on YouTube and go down the rabbit hole. You'll enjoy it.
Have a blast.
I think there's more than one rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I think there are
Yeah.
many, many rabbit holes.
Some of them have rabbits too.
Well, actually, there's a site called collarme.com. That's where I met my fiance.
I don't know what that is.
I wish I had known about that. I met my husband on Facebook.
I'm not married.
Well, since becoming active in this whole online discussion business, people have started actually talking to me about things. So this is great.
It's once you jump into once you jump into being active against the Abrahamic faiths and being active against them trying to implement a theocracy, you realize normal people exist that are totally okay with their sexuality, and you learn so much.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it's like
there's so many different interests that people have.
Yeah.
my channel actually started a divide between me and my ex-husband, so it was one of the issues we had.
Oh,
But AR
that's too bad.
probably knows how well my ex-husband existed as a human being anyway,
I know a little bit about it.
with him being a
You're
Russian
not the
Orthodox.
ex-husband, are you?
He was Russian Orthodox? Okay, I had no fucking idea about that, honestly. Wow.
Well, they're the ones with the onion churches, aren't they?
I would say their churches are really pretty.
Yeah, they've got like the onion
architectural,
shaped
like
roofs.
artistic standpoint. They're really pretty.
I just remember that he was like really controlling and then like told you couldn't make videos or talk to people, which is kind of fucked up.
Well,
Like,
remember,
you shouldn't exert that kind of control on people, ever.
Well, if anybody's
lot
trying
more
to
to it,
control
but
who
that's
you're allowed to
where I
talk to,
credit.
you need to get away from that person.
What were you saying, Aaron?
there's a lot more to it that happened behind the scenes, but that's not for like public square.
Makes sense.
Yeah, probably not.
Matters, yeah. I guess I'm wondering if for this October NIFB Straight Pride prank event coming up.
It's not an NIFB thing.
Oh,
It's not NIFB. It's Make America Happy Again or some shit.
No,
So is it
he's
looking
talking
like
about the Straight Pride Parade.
You know,
that
I'm talking
look
about
like
the group who's holding it.
Does it look like it's going to be? Is there an expectation there's going to be a lot of people there?
Well, it's America's expectation.
So
It's getting publicized like it's gonna have a lot of people there, but
the Pride Parade
I don't know.
here in Vancouver, BC, Canada, we have the streets are packed. The whole downtown is just completely forget traffic. It's not happening. So it's a sea of people. I wouldn't even know where to begin to count how many people are there. I've heard estimates of 500,000. So it's a major thing. It's been going on here year after year. Our whole family goes each year. But
I'm going to the
Who's
Pride
doing
here
that?
in my area just because I saw the venue and it's not very
what the?
accessible.
There's an echo, and also somebody's like phone is doing this.
But the Pride here is just not very accessible for me to get into. So,
oh, okay.
and
What
then there's just going
I'm-
to be a lot of people, and that's going to screw with my hearing.
What I can't figure out is the grand marshal for the Straight Pride Parade is a gay man. I can't figure out if he's trolling them
He's a
or
token.
I hope he's trolling them. I really do.
I hope so. That would be beautiful.
Isn't Milo like a part of this now? You know.
well,
Holy
I
fuck.
heard I read a statement that he had made that was something along the lines of like men drag your women by their hair to the parade and women burn your briefcases or something. I may be misquoting it. I can't remember exactly, but it's something along those lines. I know that it was women burn your briefcases. So, like, I couldn't figure out if he was trolling or being serious.
I mean, if he's rolling
Why
with that
briefcases?
crowd, he might be serious. I mean, Milo Yiannopoulos is pretty extreme, and he's gay too, right? He's just a token for like all that right-wing ideology.
I don't understand that at all.
Well, look at Jesse Lee Peterson. He's like a black white supremacist, right?
Oh,
Wow, that's an interesting combination.
Yeah.
It's an interesting. It is a very interesting scenario with Jesse Lee Peterson.
don't
He's
get me
something
started
else.
on him.
I
Don't
noticed-
get me started on him.
I noticed a lot of these like people who follow Anderson also kind of watch Jesse Lee Peterson religiously as well.
It's starting to
religiously.
come to light that Jesse Lee Peterson may be NIFB, but we're not quite sure yet. So that's
I know. I was going to say that he did interview Steven Anderson.
He was talking. It was a while back. Talking to Jacqueline Glenn. It was like an interview,
Classic.
and he was saying how he was asking her this question, like, why do you think it's wrong for siblings to get married?
at which point I remember this, and Jacqueline Glenn was like, what?
Yeah, I watched the whole entire thing, and I'm like, are you serious?
Jacqueline Glenn may not be like great for like some things, but there are some things I will say Jacqueline Glenn is good on, and I still watch her content. There are some things where it's like I need to hear other viewpoints. I don't want to echo chamber myself, but then there are some points where it's like I can get behind Jacqueline Glenn. And I can look at her and go, okay, that's fine. Like when she's very public about this. When she did her breath augmentation, and she very like
whoa.
Yeah, probably shouldn't say that thing.
I agree with I agree with Jacqueline Glenn on good amount of things, but probably shouldn't say this on live stream, but in my opinion, she's acts like a snob sometimes. Like she'll ask you, always promote her stuff, her channel and her videos, and hey, always support me on Patreon, but yet she doesn't like to interact with her fans or people that look up to her, unless she's getting paid.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't do. Oh my god, that's true.
Sometimes
a lot of the big YouTubers that I know of or I've met. I'm sorry, guys. You are completely snobs a lot of times. You really need to stop being snobs when it comes to people that really look up to you and want and try to share their story if you inspire them, or just to say nice things about you, or ask you questions, or want to collaborate with you on something. Respond. Why do you have to? It's just ridiculous to ignore everyone who looks up to you and supports you, and then ask and have the nerve to turn around and ask them to support you on Patreon or to support your YouTube channel. I'm sorry.
I disagree with like 98% of what comes out of Jacqueline Glenn's mouth, but I still listen because it's like she still does have a voice, and it gives you the opinions to sit there and formulate your own opinions and look at information and grow as a person.
I think once channels get beyond a certain size, it becomes very difficult to respond to everyone who comes to them with something. But I have great respect for the people who still make an effort.
Skeptic.
Anyway.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Are you driving?
He's a car theist now.
Please tell me you're at least being safe and keeping your eyes on the road.
I did have another Jacqueline.
Keeping my eyes on the road on this hot sunny day may not be good for my eyes.
So my favorite thing about that whole Jesse Lee Peterson Jacqueline Glenn interview was when he asks Jacqueline Glenn, who's like, "So you don't look like an atheist?" And then she's all like, "What does an atheist look like?" "Oh, Satan." I'm like,
okay.
Wait. I thought pagans had the claim on looking like Satan. I thought that was our thing.
Come on.
So I came out as an atheist, like one of my old jobs, and one of the first responses I got was like, "But you're so nice," and I was like,
"Thank you."
And they was like, "And you dress so conservatively," and I was like, "What?"
It's an attempt to vilify atheists, is what it is. And
I just had to ask him what he meant. He was like, "Oh, well, you have people who just wear like these low cut tank tops and just have their privates hanging out." And I was like,
"That's not how it works."
I like my I like to be presentable in a certain light, and that's just how I present myself, and how other people present themselves has no bearing on how I present myself, because we share the same religious viewpoint or lack of religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of the attitudes that we're trying to counter here with Canadian atheists. I've set up a series of what I call intellectual safety tips on the website, canadianatheist.ca/tip. We got about 60 or so in there, and it just kind of lists off all the things that atheism is not. And we have a separate meme kind of image people can share around for each one of those. So it is a common thing that seems to go around.
Oh my god.
Ah!
The lag on that though.
Well,
Oh,
Satan's trying to make his way in. Aaron is name.
But
Also, I just want to point
when
out
it
real quick
comes
that I think it's really a no true Scotsman fallacy that we all don't look like R and Raw.
Although that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
I don't know. I feel like the answer to his thing.
That would be pretty cool if we all did look like Aaron Raw.
You were talking, so I shut up. Yeah, I feel like the answer to a single question has no bearing on how you present yourself.
Yeah.
Just going to throw that out there.
Honestly, I don't think an answer to a single question makes you fit in almost any label whatsoever, even. I mean,
yeah.
it's so funny because not only does it, not make you fit like a certain look, it doesn't even make you fit a specific stereotype of, like, again, any label. Like atheist is one where, depending on the definition of atheist that you're referring to, a single answer will do. But feminism, depending on what kind of feminist you are, you may have to check 30 boxes or one or two.
Yeah, we regard atheism as a very simple classification of just not believing in deities. That's it. It covers everybody who is either taking position or not taking position. It makes it very simple and straightforward the way we see it. By most people,
I do have quite a good vision now, though, of an entire army of cloned Aaron Ras.
I have a love-hate relationship with labels because they're a way to communicate like concise information, but then people want to stick you into this box of what that label is to them. And it's like, wait, hold on. Let me rattle off my 25 labels, and then you can figure out where I fit.
Yeah, that's
they help us
overused. Yeah.
Well, it's at the time I met Steven Anderson, I was still Wiccan. And Steven Anderson wasn't aware of this at first, was like, oh, you're a woman, let me find you a husband that fits our church.
Oh, God.
Great.
I'm 17 years old.
Jeebus on a cracker.
You really should have taken that offer. It would have been, it could have ended up great, Really?
And then when it came out, like, Steven Anderson's Wiccan, he's like, oh, you're a reprobate and you're going to hell. And I just want to mention, at 8 years old, I was baptized with the IFB at one point. So I still fit their once saved, always saved narrative. So,
well, that's convenient.
Is the IFB just as bad about like getting their women married and having children before they're saved?
They're just as bad, yeah.
Wait, Aaron.
So if you were baptized, you can do what you like then?
Pretty much.
Aaron, have you seen the Sabrina series on Netflix? Like, are you saying you're Sabrina? You were like, you had a Wiccaning and you had a baptism? Like, are you Sabrina?
Apparently, no. So my family history is very complicated. My biological parents were Wiccan, but my biological mother's sister is my adopted mom, and they're IFB, new IFB.
Oh.
And my great-grandmother, when I was 8 years old, bribed me with ice cream so I would get baptized so she could save my soul.
That's all it takes. That's all God needs.
Yeah, that's a real good motivation there.
They don't all have to pay for
I
that.
was a kid. I was like, ice cream, yeah.
So the new IFB doesn't say you need to get baptized in order to be saved. Is that just an IFB thing then? Old IFB?
That is a old IFB thing. However, the new IFB doesn't put out very publicly, but that is something they still want as well.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say, I thought the whole
I know they keep tally list of how many baptisms they have and how many people they get saved.
Okay, I'm very confused because I thought the whole point of the Baptist, regardless of what Baptist denomination, was the baptism. So the NIFB doesn't do that?
Oh, they baptize.
Oh, okay.
NIFB does,
Well,
yeah, but like
wait a minute.
it's not seen as a requirement for salvation or whatever in their
If
doctrine.
they go with the once saved, always saved, then if you're baptized in the NIFB and then you go out and have gay sex with a couple hundred people, you're okay, right?
That's how that works.
As long as it's only
wow,
a
that's
couple
a
hundred
goal.
people.
That's a
See
big
what-
goal there.
If you start doing that, they'll claim that you weren't saved in the first place and that you went down that whole reprobate
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Moving the
Yeah.
goalposts.
They have ways of getting around it.
I'll go down that hole rapidly.
If,
But
if
the
you
whole
guys
baptism
haven't seen,
the whole
um,
baptism.
sorry, go ahead, Sassy.
Because I'm a badger, we burrow, so I live underground.
But no, technically, by their NIFB standards, though, had I not come out as, you know, what I am, I would still be saved and go to heaven. But because I came out as pansexual and everything, they're like, no, you are no longer saved. Goodbye.
Basically, yeah.
Whoops.
Like, I'm glad I wasn't part of one of their congregations when I came out, because had I have been, I would have been like, okay, cool. So I'm taking Bob, Sue, Louise. I would just start naming people and be like, cool, we're all gone, right? Because, you know, I'm just going to like run down the list of people in the congregation that I have slept with.
Did you guys ever? Did you guys?
At the time, let's get this straight. At the time of my baptism, I was Wiccan.
Did they know? I guess not.
See,
I'm
not aware of this.
I've never been baptized. Ever. I've never been baptized ever in my life. My two siblings, they were when they were babies, but they're not religious. And so and then I kept changing my mind back and forth of when I wanted to become baptized, because different Christians kept telling me, or I kept reading different things. Like, 1 minute someone says you have to be baptized to be saved, then I would read another like, no, you don't. If your faith alone saves you. So I was completely conflicted with what I wanted to do, and also with another baptism story was that for so long I was very worried about my deceased family members' salvation, because the ones that died were Catholic, and I remember I was a Christian, and someone told me that no, Catholics will not go to heaven because they believe in works that will get you to heaven rather than faith. So the whole time, ever since, for a while, I was constantly begging God to please have mercy on them, to please save them, and to love them, and to just bring them to heaven, because they did believe in Him. They do believe in you. They didn't do works. They believed in faith, and it messed with my head with that. I was so worried. Mm-hmm. And then I realized later on that it's not true with that person. So, I mean, there's just so many different Christians that believe different things, and every single person claims that they're right. And it's just...
It's more probable that they're all wrong than they're all right. But anyways, I really don't think you should mention that to Ricky Gantz. That you haven't been baptized.
I don't really care what he says, because honestly, I'm just
trying to grind your gears. It's okay.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I don't care what he says, because all he's gonna say is blah blah blah. You need to be saved. Jesus. Blah blah blah.
Jesus. Also, Jesus.
All right, question from over.
Exactly.
Question from over in my chat, people. Who is the one with the mustache?
That must be me. I'm Randall.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's you.
Yeah, he's got a better mustache than me. So.
Oh, Thanks.
I was like, did I forget to shake?
Oh, Matt.
No, thank you.
Matt, I got a message for
So
you.
who are you?
Christy says, "Hi, honey. Please tell Matt Christy loves you." He's not looking at the chat.
Oh, yeah, I can only do one at a time on my phone, so thank you for letting me know. Love you, Christy.
So who are you, Randolph?
I'm Randolph Richardson. I'm the founding president of the Canadian Atheists, and I am actually lately trying to arrange with the NIFB to do a conversation/debate that's live and gets published on YouTube. They haven't responded to my request so far. At this point, I just
Well, the
assume that
NIFB
they're
is focusing
probably
on screwing over Raging Atheist right now. I don't know if y'all have noticed that.
who is
What
what?
are they doing with the
I've been
Raging
watching.
Atheists?
Well,
Matt Powell?
Huh?
There's a lot of stuff going on with the whole Raging Atheist thing. First, Matt Powell doxed him, and now he got Facebook messages sent his way containing death threats against him and his daughter, all that kind of stuff.
I'm not
And
reading
now-
stuff like that.
Great.
And now, what's it called? They're like false flagging his channel. He just got like a video removed for fetishism, which is kind of ridiculous. And trolls are constantly going into his chat, spewing like their anti-LGBTQ rhetoric and calling everyone reprobates, and
Because I think
Jewish
if they can
slurs,
take
now
down,
that's
the
wrong.
whole atheist community is the logic right now.
Okay.
For some reason,
Right, Randolph.
Raging Atheist did a rather funny one yesterday, just about a troll that was coming at him who was so incompetent at trolling that it was funny.
yeah,
I saw
remember
that.
was
That
good.
was funny. Yeah, that was good.
I did not
I have
see
to
that
check
yet.
that one out.
I kind of I missed something about what somebody was saying about Mr. Raging Atheist getting screwed over. Is it the NIFB doing that?
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, okay.
because I think if they take down the
Matt
Raging
Powell.
Atheist, they'll take down the whole atheist community.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Is that led by, like, is Matt Powell leading that, or is that speculation that he is, or have we
No, Matt
confirmed
Powell-
that?
I wouldn't
All
say
I know
Matt
for
Powell
certain
is
is he did a
leading it.
debate with Matt Powell.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Look.
say Matt Powell is leading it, but he's got the attention of their their members because of that science falsely so-called propaganda film that Matt Powell released.
Right,
Yeah,
Randolph.
there's that.
Yeah.
You, someone in my chat says Susan says hi. Apparently, might know you from somewhere.
Oh, hi, Susan. I think I know her from a conversation debate I had with Josh Brister and the Red Pill Religion people a few months ago.
You did? Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta see this.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll-
I'm about to see this.
Please.
yeah. If you look up my name on YouTube, on Google, and also Josh Brister, it should come up right away. It
Perfect.
went for almost 3 hours, and I found it to be quite a nice, enjoyable debate. I got the impression that they've had some bad experiences with some debates with atheists in the past, so I didn't find it to be bad at all. I found it quite enjoyable.
He still claims to have like a 420-0 record, which I think is hilarious. Because he's lost every single debate, but he still has to throw a meme out there because he's one of those weird
Yeah.
people.
Well,
To be honest, I wouldn't mind having a chat with him. I just don't have like the time at the moment to properly prepare for a debate or anything.
His Twitter persona and his like debate persona are completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I
Randolph,
watched one of his debates,
Randolph,
when I
can we
watched
get
one of
the
his
link to
debates,
your
he was just kind
webpage
of
there?
doing.
yeah, it's to my YouTube channel.
Well, I know you've got your webpage that's got a whole list of resources and brief descriptions about a lot of channels.
That's a different site. That's the Atheist Frontier. So www.atheistfrontier.com. I'll just post it in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Atheist
When I watched
Rationale,
one of,
I had ask a question real quick. Atheist Rationale, what would you say that like people that are watching the stream and trying to figure out about NIFB and what they can do to help, what would you say would be helpful for like what you're doing and what other content creators are doing? What do you guys need from us?
Honestly, the best way to help right now would probably be to contact Casey or Shannon Q. We have an email set up. I believe it's anti-NIFBmovement@gmail.com. You could email that address, obviously, and ask what you can do to help. We have we've given people like assigned churches, and every Sunday or whatever, we're asking people to comb through their sermons and then get timestamps of anything that might be deemed relevant to the movement. You know, calls for violence.
These are sermons placed up online, are they?
Extreme rhetoric, that kind of junk. And other ways to help is, you know, if we're putting out a call to action in a video or on Twitter, just to like follow that. Like right now, Mr. Atheist.
Share it around.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Atheist, for instance, just retweeted something that I put out about a week ago. We're currently trying to get Tommy McMurtry's YouTube channel shut down. And
it has one more strike right now.
Yeah, he just needs one more, and he just needs one more, and he's gone.
Right. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
Atheist Rationale, you're on Twitter, I guess. Maybe connect with me. I own the domain names nifb.ca and nifb.net, so perhaps that can be helpful in this as well.
That's beautiful. Thank you for grabbing those domains.
Take a look at the webpage there. It's fun. I call them the naughty IFB.
Fucking great.
That's beautiful.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
But you and I, Randolph, we've been talking on Twitter, so
yeah, you look familiar to me. So okay, that's great.
Hey, Randolph.
You look familiar to me as well, Mr. Rationale, but I'm fairly certain you're not who you look like.
Yeah, maybe not. My hair grew out a little bit longer. I started shaving. That whole 9 yards. And I think I'm getting better at this off-the-cuff stuff, so that's nice too.
Yeah, it's going pretty well.
Super nervous during our interview, like months and months back. By the way, it's cool to have you in a chat again.
Yeah.
Hey, Badger.
Hello.
So will you, once you hit, if you hit a certain number of subscribers, will you do a face reveal? Because I'm really interested in knowing what you look like.
Are you telling me you want me to take this pumpkin off?
Oh, you haven't seen him with the pumpkin off. Okay.
No, I know what. Never.
I think Sassy is more interested in Badger's actual face.
Yeah.
Haven't you
realized
that I'm actually
off his face?
Take the badger off.
Haven't you realized that I am actually a badger?
So, Bad-tempered Badger, I think what she's trying to get at, she wants you to shave all the hair off of your face.
All right, just a minute.
Just a shave back.
Just a minute, I'll take the pumpkin off.
No, that's not. Oh my God, you guys are.
It's a compromise. Accept it.
Honestly,
I already know what he looks like
just a
without the
second.
pumpkin.
Honestly, you really don't want him to take anything else off because the only thing that's under there is a bad temper.
Good one.
There we go. How's that for you?
I just got you an unholy
Does that
moment.
about
So
cover
I
it for you?
apologize, Bad-tempered Badger.
That's all right. Does this about cover it for you?
I'm still waiting to see the bad temper because he's the stereotype of the Brit who will insult you so politely you won't know whether or not you're supposed to be offended.
That would be very interesting to go through.
Mr. Rationale, I would very much appreciate you coming on for a chat at some point if you'd be interested.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, man. I got
So
something
far,
I'm doing
I'm
tomorrow
the
with
only
David Worley. So
Yeah, no, it's great. I do very much appreciate people coming on and having discussions with me, especially if there's a topic.
Yeah. So far, I've got like
David Worley as well, I think.
Yeah,
he told me he didn't
PR.
want to do any video with me until he got to know me, but yeah, he hasn't done anything to get to know me, so whatever.
I'll vouch for you.
Who are we on about?
Just throw my name out. I'll vouch for you.
No, so far I have about like I think 4 people that will be coming on my channel in the future. I've got Badger. You said you would come on my channel, right?
Yeah, why not?
You got on Neil 604 Atheist show, right?
Neil's the
Huh?
latest.
Neil's gonna come on. Neil's gonna come on sometime.
I managed
Randolph.
to poach you. I managed to poach
Randolph.
you from Neil and beat him to the interview, didn't I?
Randolph, you're coming on. You said like
I'm looking forward to that.
June. Yeah, and
Thank you.
with the craft, she's gonna be my first guest. We're gonna be doing a video of Girl Defines the 50 questions to ask in a romantic relationship. So
that should be fun.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm gonna be able to face palm through my desk hard enough on that one.
You guys, we were going through over 130 questions to ask before you're in a relationship or something like that, and we were going through some of them, and they were. I already did a video with Lee about it, and I'm gonna do it again. And
I did a video on the Girl Defined thing, and after that, I got very sick. After that one video, content of the video.
Oh.
And you can go look on it on my channel. It's called "You Are Not Broken." It was a very difficult video to make.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hard video. I was like.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the I was watching because I'm watching because they have like over 150 videos on their channel, and that's just aside from all the blog posts that they do on their blog. And one of them I was reading was erotica. Should Christian women read it? And
at the very least, at least they're not as bad as biblical gender roles.
No! They talk about biblical roles, like what's the purpose of a woman?
No, I'm talking about the blog biblical gender roles.
No, there's a blog. They also have a YouTube channel.
Biblical.
Yeah, they also have
called Biblical Gender Roles, and Sturris just did a video on them yesterday where they were talking about women should get married as soon as they menstruate because they're pubescent women, and once they menstruate, they're no longer children. At which point, I shared an article.
Fucking
and it gets shown
early as 7 years old.
Where a child at 6 years and 5 months had a baby via cesarean section.
I'm not gonna lie,
She started menstruating at 8 months.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not make it through that stream. I had to leave because I was angry, crying, and almost punched my laptop screen. It just, as a mom,
I started building an end table during the end stream, so I didn't punch my computer.
That's ugly shit right there.
I unfortunately got caught up in drama with OS and his gang, so that was kind of shitty. I still wish we were like friends or whatever. I don't know, man. Which things turned south like they
Randolph,
did.
I've been told in the chat that you need to update your Twitter picture.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Who's
hop
telling
off
me that?
here. I'm gonna have to hop off here.
Loved on.
My kids woke up and they have decided not to cooperate. So
no,
but
don't leave.
I will be in chat. I will be in chat, but yeah, they're not cooperating. So there's going to be so much background noise. But I will be in
to
chat.
speak with you.
All right, go take care of your kids. Nice to talk to you.
Bye.
It's. I also must mention I need to toodle off fairly soon because it's getting a little bit late here, and I do need to organize myself for tomorrow. So I will be soon shutting down my end of the stream, but I will try to make sure that I transfer the link and anyone left in my chat at that time over to the other one.
Oh, Bad-tempered Badger. Who is it that's saying my picture needs to be updated, and what are they suggesting I update it to?
I like your picture. It looks very
I will
Ron
ask. Just a minute.
Well, Reagan is the devil.
I'm always open to suggestions. I may not take them, but I'm open to suggestions.
Same thing,
I
less clothes.
apologize for everybody. I'm sorry.
Oh, the kitty.
Oh, kitty witty. Oh.
Well, Randolph, what you should do is just take your picture and stretch it in odd ways and claim that he was your brother.
You should give yourself a nose that's bigger than your face.
Oh boy.
Or it may sound the same, but maybe make your face smaller than your nose.
Or you should, Randolph, you should put your face on, edit your face onto a woman in a bikini. That would be funny.
Oh no. I'll probably
Also,
Rule 63, Randolph Richardson. Nice.
the person who originally said you should update your picture, when I said what sort of picture should he update it to, said a newer one.
I guess I should do that at some point. I'll add it to my to-do list.
To-do list.
Right, I'm just going to transfer the links over to my chat to the mainstream, and then I'm going to start making my escape.
Wasn't there someone, a couple of other people? Bye.
Sleep well, Badger.
I'm also going to have to be leaving here in a few. So I said I'm also going to have to be heading out here in a few. So I just want to let anyone know, because most of you in here haven't done an Atheist flashback yet, besides Sassy and Aaron. So if any of you want to come do that, that would be awesome. Atheist Rationale, if you want to do something to put a little extra focus on the NIFB, I'd love to work with you, or we'd love to have you on Leah. And same to you, Randolph, if you want to come talk about what you're doing up in Canada.
Either of those sound kind of awesome.
I'd be delighted. Yeah, anytime.
Oh, by the way, Mac, you ruined me that night. You ruined me that night.
I ruined everyone.
Very skeptic. I'm not sure how well I could play the Christian I was when I was like 8 years old, but I think I've watched enough NIFB content to pretend to be one of them. Start busting out Romans.
That would be amazing. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to be godless.
That would be my problem with doing your show, Gray, is that I don't think I ever believed in anything strong enough to actually make it interesting.
Well, that's okay.
I was a flat earther at one point, so that was interesting.
What was it?
I used to be a flat earther, so there was that.
Oh,
I know we talked about that on ours.
That's great.
We talked about that.
I no longer believe that the Earth is flat. I was fooled.
You know what I've heard about flat Earths? I've heard that they have groups all around the globe.
Oh, fun fact!
Slowly though, and their brains explode.
It's too funny.
NASA's a hoax.
The flat earthers, I read this on Twitter. They believe that Australia is a big conspiracy theory, and that Australians are paid actors hired by NASA.
Oh yeah, Australia is completely fictional. Just ask Dr. Whit.
What?
Or
what?
Don't, because it doesn't matter.
Wait, they believe that Australia is not. What?
Yeah, they really believe. Well, some of them really believe that Australia doesn't exist, and that, like, everybody on the continent, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is like a crisis actor, essentially.
Sounds
they're
like
all paid by NASA.
Sounds like they're not very well traveled.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that. It was we were taught that the goddess said the Earth was flat, so the Earth was flat, and then
Oh, Mac.
Oh my God.
That's more. Yeah. I'd buy that more than like any of their crackpot theories, honestly.
Mac,
I've never been to Australia, but I'm pretty sure it's there.
Yeah.
Mac, one atheist which is saying in the side chat that her husband is an ex-JW.
Who said that?
One atheist, one witch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd love to talk with him.
He's awesome. An ex-JW who's now an atheist.
Yeah, he is awesome.
I'd like to come on with you as well at some point and have a nice chat. if you'd be willing, or you could come on my channel. We could go on your channel. We could do a bit of both.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Anyone who wants to come on, please just let me know. Let me know in a Twitter DM. That's the best way to get a hold of me. But I do have to go now because I need to go get ready for classes.
I'll say hi to
okay. Well,
Christy for
thanks
all
for
of us.
everything.
Have a good day, man.
I also
Be
need
safe.
And
to
Badger,
shut
thank
down
you so
my
much
stream.
for helping organize this and helping me get things running here.
That's all right. And I think we ended up sending most of the viewers over to your channel anyway, because the quality on mine is not quite as good because I'm trying to run 2 streams effectively through my crappy internet connection. So,
well, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Well, thanks to everyone on your channel for tuning in.
Yeah, I've put the links. Hopefully, everybody's on their way over to the main one now.
Okay,
shall
well, I
speak
didn't
to you
want
all
to
later,
steal your
and-
subscribers or anything.
That's all right. So thank you very much for having me. I shall speak to you all soon.
Bye.
Be safe.
Later, Badger.
Good talking to you again.
Actually, Badger is one of the reasons I started doing this on Tuesday afternoons.
Oh.
Because my main thing was doing the chat Thursdays at midnight.
I saw
So
that.
Badger would wander in at what was like 5 o'clock in the morning for me, which was when he was going to work, and just complain about why I had to start these things at such a ridiculous hour. So then I decided to do one that would be more in prime time for his time zone.
Honestly, I don't know how you do these midnight streams. I'm like dead tired at like 10 p.m. I'm like,
I'm
Even
usually
with
up
the
till
caffeine.
like 2.
Yeah, it's called chronic sleep disorders. I do not sleep on any normal schedule. I can never predict when I'll be awake.
I have
everything you
chronic
just said
fatigue.
came in very robotic.
I have
Oh.
chronic fatigue syndrome, which gets really annoying in that it's like when you want to sleep, you're too awake, but you're too fatigued, and you're just like, body, pick a fucking side.
Yeah.
I have to, on the weekdays I have to normally be to bed by 10 p.m. because I get up like around 1 o'clock in the morning for work. So the only days that I have time off to be awake however long I want is Saturday night and Sunday night.
Yeah, I most commonly have the problem that I can literally be so physically exhausted that I can barely get up to go to the bathroom. But my brain will not stop running with all the projects and trying to do all the mathematics for the measurements on what I'm building and all this stuff all night long. So I can lay there, and barely move, but I'll lay there for 3 hours before I'll fall asleep.
Yep, I have that same problem. I'll just sit there or lay there for like an hour or two. My brain's just like going a million miles a minute, and I just can't sleep. And then finally it happens, and then it's vivid dreams.
I wait until I fall asleep, and then whenever I fall asleep, that's fine. But the issue is sometimes I'm just in too much pain to sleep, and it's like, kill me.
Well,
I have like
and my thing is
ADHD, so I'm a little weird.
Even when I do fall asleep, I virtually never sleep more than 2 hours without waking up again and going through the whole process all over. So it's like I lay in bed for 10 hours to get 3 hours of sleep.
Wow.
That's not fun. I'm sorry.
Mine's just pain.
That's also really bad. I'm sorry.
Not good at all. That's terrible.
I mean, I'm used to the pain.
Yeah, I know you get used to it after a while, but still. I've got some reference point for that. I don't have that kind of chronic pain.
Well, the interesting thing about chronic fatigue is, one, it's labeled as a mental health illness that's treated by gradiated exercise therapy. But here's the issue.
Sounds physical.
It is actually very physical because it's inflammation of the cerebral cortex, and gets even better. Gradiated exercise therapy puts people in bed for like 3 to 4 days at a time because they have no freaking energy for 3 to 4 freaking days because I had to borrow it all to do this freaking exercise routine.
That's terrible.
And there's actually a whole scandal on that and the research that went behind it because people felt like they had to say they were improving because of the doctors that were running this freaking experiment to fix chronic fatigue. And I'm like, what is life?
That's too bad.
I thought they didn't really know much about chronic fatigue at the current moment.
I am about to send a video link in the chat.
Thought it was one of those things like lupus where like not all of it's like nailed down.
It'll make more sense once you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, these fraudulent studies are a problem, like with Andrew Wakefield, and the anti-vaccination stuff is probably a prime example of how that's gone way out of control.
At the very least, they pulled not only his license, but that article from like the publishing company.
Lancet. Yeah, Lancet, I suspect they improved their standards after that, I think.
Good.
Yeah, but
Hey,
the thing is, like, how many years ago did they pull that study? And yet we've still got people who are promoting it now?
Well, apparently they're still Andrew Wakefield is apparently still active promoting it, and there's all kinds of misinformation about that. And you know, he admitted it was a fraud, but people are saying he was forced to admit it now, and on, this kind of nonsense. And the latest one they have is there's apparently a cure for autism now called MMS, something miracle pollution. And
it's bleach, isn't it?
Industrial bleach.
Give Erin a chance. She's been trying to say something here.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, for one, get vaccinated. If you are not vaccinated and you can be vaccinated, you cannot be within like 40 feet of me because I get very, very ill very, very quickly. 2, their claims for fixing autism, and this comes from Autism One, which is a lovely place.
Oh,
I remember talking about it.
They're promoting genocide the way I see it.
Basically,
they're promoting anti-vax. They're also promoting fecal matter transplants in chiropractic to cure autism.
Oh yeah, the chiropractors have a strong link in that. That's been known for a long time.
But fecal matter transplants.
Now, gut bacteria has some correlation with severity of symptoms, but fecal matter transplants aren't going to remove your fucking autism.
No, they won't.
They're ridiculous.
There is a legitimate treatment involving that.
Which I understand. I have a younger sister with autism, so I know that there is some gut issues that I seem to see with autism.
Yeah. Gastrointestinal issues are very common with people on the spectrum.
I have gastrointestinal issues myself, so I can't really say that they're, like a minor thing. As a whole, mine come from having all of my medical conditions, though.
Off topic, but there's a question in the chat by Christy Santiago. She asked everyone, what was the last thing you guys hold on to of your magical thinking? What was the last magical thinking to let go of? Like, of religion.
The flat Earth. It took me forever to get past the flat Earth.
Magical thinking. What would I have to say? I guess it'd be Santa Claus.
I think for most people, the hardest thing to let go of is the belief in an afterlife. Is coming to terms with the idea that when you die, basically that's the end of it. That you don't have a spirit or soul that's going to go on to another plane or some other place.
The last thing for me was the flat Earth, and that was because it was so drilled into me as a child that it took me, I was like, I didn't want to let go of that one little piece of my childhood because I was like, this was so drilled, this one thing can't be a lie. And then I researched it and I was like,
for me, it was many different things that was hard for me to let go, or hard to get past. When I was fairly new to atheism, I had a hard time just try to stop myself from praying, to stop myself from thinking about what would it be like now if I was still a Christian, if I still held my belief in God. It was very hard for me to believe that there's no afterlife and I will never see my relatives that I love like ever again. And it was just it was so many different things that personally for me was very hard to get past. It took a while to finally just get past all what I used to believe and how I used to live. So
for me, I had to think about this one because I've always been an atheist, so it's never anything to do with believing anything in a religion. I guess with Santa Claus would be the one I could think of would be it. And I would say it's not something that happened all of a sudden. It was just gradually something that waned over time for me. And I think that's probably the way it is for a lot of people.
I never had Santa Claus. That was never a thing for me.
Yeah. My youngest came to me a few years ago and she said she's pretending to believe in Santa Claus because she likes to get presents and doesn't want me to tell anybody else in the family.
I use that excuse. I'm like, Santa does exist. He exists in your heart. Daddy, please give me presents now.
Oh, actually, there is a
Yule Fairy,
website.
and the Yule Fairy never gave presents to redheaded children who were girls.
Wow.
Because we
Well,
weren't
that's
allowed to
not
have
nice.
toys or TVs or video games or anything.
Well,
needs
as
to
a
get canceled?
child, I realized the whole Santa Claus thing was really messed up because we were one of the poorest families in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like, yeah, I got a couple of gifts from Santa, but the other kids at school who were complete assholes got like 10 times as much as I did.
Yeah.
So obviously, this wasn't based on behavior or any kind of merit. I figured that out by the time I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
No, we had the Yule Fairy because growing up Wiccan, you have Yule instead. And I was never allowed to get any toys or anything growing up because I was one of those kids who was a girl born with red hair. And in the coven, if you're born with red hair as a female, you're to be kept away from all of the worldly like possessions and things in case you are the reincarnation of the goddess and stuff. And it's like that's cruel.
Very.
I grew up with Santa Claus, but when I got older,
I gave you the
obviously-
Bobby Hill treatment?
Yeah, because you could be the reincarnation of the goddess. So you're living with your biological parents, but you're raised by the priestess, and your biological parents are only supposed to give you enough to survive.
Okay. Anybody who has young kids, there's a great website for tracking Santa's progress put on by the North American military between Canada and the US. It's called noradsanta.org. It's NORADSANTA.org. Every year you can take a look at December 31st and they have him moving around and he makes
Oh yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
progress.
That's been going on for a long time because when I was a kid growing up in the Chicago suburbs, one of the Chicago TV stations, whenever they did a commercial break, they would break in with a piece on that about what his progress was.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I grew up with Santa Claus. I grew up with the Tooth Fairy.
Didn't have the Tooth
Easter
Fairy.
Bunny. I grew up with the Easter Bunny, and yeah, and and so well, it has something to do with it's kind of it's magical thing. But I grew up with Mother Nature. But for me, I kind of knew that Santa wasn't real, but I didn't really want to give up that belief. But as I got older, I did. And I did believe in the Tooth Fairy up until I think when I was asleep, or I was falling asleep, and my mom thought that I was asleep. So I felt and I saw, I just opened my eyes enough to see her take the tooth and slip the money underneath my pillow. So I knew that Tooth Fairy wasn't real, but I didn't say anything until I just got older and was like, I don't believe it anymore. But the funny thing is, nothing to do with Tooth Fairy and all that, but for so long, I believed that chocolate milk came from the brown cows. That's like I'm not kidding you.
That's awesome.
But that's what when it comes to raising kids, I don't have any own, obviously, but I find myself to tell them the truth about certain things instead of lying to them and saying that, oh yeah, chocolate milk comes from brown cows and white milk comes from the white and black cows. And I know I would, if I had a child, I would tell them flat out that they just put chocolate syrup in, the milk. It's regular milk, comes from the black and white cows.
We just broke Christy Santiago's heart. She didn't know Santa wasn't real. I'm sorry, Christy Santiago.
Oh, come on, Christy. We're just joking around here. Take a look at the NORADSanta.org website. It has proof. It's from the military. You can believe it. It's credible. It's a credible source.
But you know what else I can't stand when
NASA was a hoax and Australia didn't exist.
I'm not a flat earther. You can take my word on it.
One thing I can't stand is that some parents, and personally, I know someone in my family that does. They are teaching their child, and I've seen other people that teach a child that meat doesn't come from the animals. Like they're trying to guard and protect the child from being terrified of the fact that certain animals are killed and then we eat the meat. And I just am like, no, okay, yes, they're might be terrified a little, but you gotta flat out tell them up front that it comes from the animals. They have to be, some of them are killed, and you gotta be upfront with your kids. You can't lie to them about certain things. Like,
honestly, I'm okay with when they're very young having the idea of Santa. It's a fun thing to do. But
for Santa, yes, but when it comes to animals and stuff like that, no.
They need to learn at some point that things are hard in the world. Like when they're younger, you can have a much more gentler delivery. But there's a certain age where they kind of need to know because it will be useful for them, and that's the delineating factor. Is it useful for them to know about this?
Except,
it's a good question to ask.
Like the Santa thing specifically, like I said, it bothered me as a kid. It bothered me as a parent. That
Santa's
if you've got a kid who behaves really well and you can't afford to buy them the latest gaming system, you're gonna wonder what's going on.
And the thing about the Santa experience for you is it turned into an exercise in critical thinking, the application of that. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, but for some kids,
it's hard, I know.
But they feel like they're being unfairly punished.
Yep. And so
what did I do?
And that's where a conversation with the parents has to involve the parents kind of getting that straightened out. That's when the kid's ready to know, I think.
It's like, gee, Timmy's a real arsehole, and he got the new Xbox One, but what, I get underwear and socks?
That's when it's a good time for the parents to talk with the kids about what's really going on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also the fact that Santa completely ignored all my Jewish friends.
What's like Orla just pointed out, like
at least they have Mr. Hanky the Christmas poo.
I love South Park's rendition of Santa with a bazooka mounted on his sleigh. That's just perfect.
Fucking great.
Oh my god.
Orla pointed out, girls need more like education about their bodies, which when I came to America, I didn't realize it wasn't taught.
It's taught here in Canada.
So
I had abstinence-only education growing up. Like, they didn't really
here was
teach
my sex
ed in middle
education.
school and stuff.
I grew up Wiccan, first of all. So any questions about sex I had were answered very explicitly.
Awesome.
I had a health education in Japan. Then I got to America.
You jealous that you were in
Then
Japan.
I got to America, right? And here was the sex education I got in America. If you have sex, you will get pregnant, AIDS, and die.
Yeah, that's essentially what I.
You know what my experience was growing up. When I was little, I had to close my eyes during kissing scenes. The discussion of learning about education about sex it wasn't taught to me. I didn't that, and then it just led to many confused feelings and not and being ashamed, et cetera, et cetera. And so I didn't really start learning until I was in my late teens, probably.
I think it's a failure of the system that this is such a big problem. And
Well-
I'm curious.
Well, it's like in America.
Has NIFB had any kind of view on how sex should be taught at school?
Yes, they do.
Well, they don't even have school though. They don't allow their children to go to public schools. They encourage that people avoid college. They want
Homeschool.
people to just get a trade and that
And
or work
homeschool.
for the church.
Homeschool.
Yeah.
One
yeah.
of the things of being in the online communities has really taught me is how huge a rift there is in different parts of the U.S. That, I grew up in the Chicago suburbs in the 70s, and I received a far more progressive education than apparently what kids in a lot of southern states are getting now. And I can't believe that, when people talk about the U.S. as a whole, and I'm realizing just that there's a huge canyon between the way things are taught. I mean, I even got a fairly decent, sex ed, as far as sex ed goes, as far as the medical information and that. It was a rather clinical class, but I got accurate information as opposed to the stuff that I hear that the kids down south are getting now.
Hey, better clinical than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, for
At
me,
least show us what parts
Not
we
good
got
enough.
and how they work,
Can we all take a moment to say thank you to the fact that DARE doesn't exist anymore?
Oh, yes.
Dare
What doesn't
make
exist?
drug abuse and things worse.
What
sorry?
exists? I didn't hear that. What
DARE.
doesn't exist? Dare. Oh.
Yeah, the DARE program to keep kids off of drugs.
Okay,
That's
so
a little thing in Florida, actually.
the one in Canada here is actually quite good, and they're teaching the kids well. So it's run by the RCMP here. So I guess the one in the U.S. must be quite a different program.
See, for me, when I was little,
The way they demonize things like marijuana in the DARE program growing up was just fucking out there. Like, they tell you smoking weed will cause cancer, or it'll make you do meth or heroin or magic mushrooms.
It's a gateway drug.
I've seen the materials taught here in the DARE program, and there's none of that kind of nonsense in it. They're all fact-based and referring to science and things. So I think it must be quite a different program here.
In the U.S., the DARE program had gone so overboard, saying that all drugs are bad, that they were having kids reporting their parents for drinking coffee because they had emphasized that even caffeine was a drug.
Oh my God.
Well, technically it is a drug. I mean, it does have psychoactive properties to it.
But
it's just
I know
not.
somebody who
Yeah,
said
but
they were
parents
going
are
to
getting
put their
fired
mom
for
for
doing
making them
drugs.
take
And it's like
aspirin.
they're drinking coffee.
What were you saying, Sloth Girl?
I know somebody who actually said that they were going to report their parents because they made them take Tylenol, and that was a drug, and that was a bad thing. Drugs are bad.
Yeah.
Bad, okay.
Yeah,
That
was the problem with the DARE, is it was such a black and white thinking thing that, all drugs
We
were
didn't
always
define
bad.
illegal drugs versus helpful drugs.
Drugs have their use. Like, even magic mushrooms. Oh, shit. 1 second.
Magic mushroom, magic mushroom.
Things like
Mushrooms.
psilocybin. Things like psilocybin for magic mushrooms and like LSD, MDMA right now are being researched in a therapeutic setting, which is important because people out there will claim like it's a magic cure-all, which isn't the case. Has been shown to have positive effects on depression, sometimes eliminating symptoms for ranges of 6 months or more. It helps with end-of-life anxiety, and it even helps treat PTSD.
Remember Matt Dillahunty talking with Jordan Peterson, and they're talking about the psychopsilocybin. You said it was
Psilocybin, yeah.
Psilocybin, yeah. I got to learn the name properly. Matt was talking about an experience he had where a strawberry jumped out of the door and then went back again. It sounded like pretty good, little cape on it and everything. It sounded like great experience.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
I've had done mushrooms more than a few times back in the day, but I've never had experiences like that.
But Jordan Peterson was going on about how that experience somehow proves that God is real or something, and that's where the leap didn't make any sense.
So God is a strawberry?
Sorry?
So God is a strawberry.
For me, what like the coolest thing that happened is I was looking at the stars because like where I was at in Arizona, right? Like the light pollution was very low, so you can see like hundreds and hundreds of stars in the sky. What was cool is that they like would rotate around and like create all these shapes. And at one point they even play like connect the dots, and I saw pictures in the sky. Yeah. It was beautiful. The thing about it though is I never thought that I was like I was still like there, you know what I mean? I didn't think it was like real or anything like that. And that's usually the case when people take psychedelics, unless they take a very, very high dose.
So maybe you didn't take enough.
Maybe not, but it was enough to have fun. Kaleidoscopes, clouds morphing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't recommend people go out and do mushrooms though. Just gonna say that.
For fun, there was a vape cigarette store in my town that's called Magic Mushroom, I think.
They also got decriminalized in Denver, which is interesting.
We have one here. They're called Glazed and Confused.
Oh, that's great.
You'd swear it's a donut shop, but it's not.
I seem to remember there was a Beavis and Butthead scene one time. They showed a building in the back that had a sign on it saying the Helping Hand Sperm Bank.
Fucking great.
That's beautiful.
Oh,
you made me lose a puff on that one.
Hey, sir, do you need a hand with that?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I can't seem to get it to work. Oh, let me help you.
Good lung pull on that one.
All these guys coming in with defective equipment. That's funny.
Oh, did you see? It was somewhere in Asia that they made a bunch of different machines for sperm banks to do it themselves. So the guy can just stand there, put it, and then it can just do it, and it'll go.
Well, they have the other kind of machine, so I don't see why they wouldn't have that kind of machine.
Well, isn't that basically a milking machine?
What other machine are you talking about? What other machine are you talking about?
Oh, Sassy, you've got so much to learn.
Yeah, oh, you're so naive.
You're so young. You should watch this video 10 years from now, then it'll all make sense.
Sassy, how old are you? If you don't mind.
Everyone judges me based on my age, and everyone's already, oh, you're so naive, you're too young. I'm not gonna say
I didn't judge you.
Sassy, just watch Pornhub. You'll get what I mean.
I'm not judging you by your age, but I would like to know that answer if you don't mind answering it. Of course, you don't have to.
I'll be 20 in November.
Hey,
awesome! Happy early birthday!
On to your second birthday. Yeah.
In Pornhub,
everyone judges me.
Sassy.
Everyone judges.
She lives at home.
It's everybody's birthday.
I have headphones, and I can still do it.
See, on Pornhub, just look up machines and you'll know what I mean. No need to say it.
I think I know what you're talking about now.
Dang.
I think I know what you're talking about now. The thing that automatically does it, like the girl is like leaning against in it. Oh yes! Okay, now I know. Okay, now I know. Okay, got it.
I like how we circled back to porn somehow.
We circled back to porn.
There's 4 letters in NIFB. This is the second time we've circled back, so I guess there's 2 more letters to go.
I'm sitting here and I'm just confused because I'm like, I don't watch porn. what the fuck's on Pornhub?
Oh, she's looking it up now.
There's that. There's porn XXX, and there's other ones.
With napsters?
What the fuck is Pornhub? I'm interesting. I saw a screenshot one time one of my friends had sent me, and it was on Pornhub, and they were asking about Fallout 4. And where to find fusion cells.
That's great. They have.
I just sat there and I was like,
they got a really active community there.
Seriously, Doorknob Head, you don't know what Pornhub is? Just look it up. You'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out. You'll learn a lot.
No. Doorknob Head knows. Doorknob Head's just pulling your leg.
He's trolling.
Doorknob
You
Head's
smashing
cool.
that taters, Doorknob Head.
Hi, Doorknob Head.
I don't even know what
He's crazy.
is.
Doorknob Head's cool.
Pornhub is proof of rule number 34.
Pornhub.
That anything that exists, there is a porno version of it.
Yes.
Yes. I know it exists. I know there's porn on it, and I don't watch it.
That's why you can go.
If it doesn't exist,
any
it
TV
will be made.
show,
That's
any
rule number
TV
34.
show, any movie,
Hold on.
anything that you can imagine, especially any anime series, there is a
Simpsons.
version of it on Pornhub.
Simpsons. They do it.
That's rule number 34, though? What is the
That's rule 34.
Rule 34 is if it exists, there's a porn of it. Rule 35 is if it doesn't exist, it will be made.
What are the first rules? This is new to me. I've missed a lot.
Rule number 1, don't talk about B.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I mean, when you want to go on it, you can. I mean, there's just a ton of options that you can choose from. You can look up old people. You can look up, you know, or certain races. You can look up certain like plus size or skinny or young or old. You can.
So what you're trying to say is that they're very well organized.
They're very diverse. They're very diverse between the ages, the size, and the looks, race. They're very diverse. So.
See, this is an interesting point actually, because in industries like with extremist religious people trying to put restrictions on all these things, there tends to be a lot of bigotry and discrimination and other angles. But in an industry like with photography, you don't see so much discrimination going. People seem to be wide open to just about everything.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they're having that diversity. I'm just in that weird position where it's like, I'm awkward.
I'm usually not super comfortable talking about these things. I've had a confidence boost lately, though, so I guess I'm better.
I am super not comfortable talking about these things. We are reading the chat. I guess not Sassy, but Sassy, one atheist asked, clarify old people.
No, old people like 70, 80s, those old people.
So, well, your confidence boost, I'm curious about. Would that be mushrooms and coffee?
No, it's not. I haven't done that since I was Sassy's age. I'm 24.
You make it out like you're way older than me. I haven't done that since her age.
I mean, I haven't done a lot of things since your age.
But you're what, in your late 20s, early 30s?
Me, I'm 24.
No, not you. I met what's her name?
I'm 23.
Oh,
dang!
When I was a little kid, sometimes I'd say to the adults, I remember when I was your age, and they'd be so confused.
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's great because I take off my glasses and I look 14.
I'm sorry. I feel so bad now. I'm gonna shut up now.
She's right.
Honestly, Sassy, I'm really surprised that you're that young. I think the problem is I listened to a couple of interviews of you that, when I wasn't really watching.
Yeah.
And just going by the way you speak in that, I had just had the image of you being significantly older.
I think military service forces people to grow up fast.
It does force people to grow up a lot faster.
And thank you for your service, by the way. And thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I come from a military family, so thank you. But yeah, that's the thing. What I a lot of times can't stand is when a lot of people just make all kinds of assumptions about me, and one of it is that I'm not mature. I don't know anything. I am not smart. I've never been through heartache, and those just like really irritates me like so much.
There is something that psilocybin does cure. Cluster headaches.
Oh, cluster headaches are a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm. They're very rare, but the only way to get rid of them is to take psilocybin.
But
sorry, there's still mushroom talk in the chat, and then that was a thought that came to my head, and I blurt things out sometimes.
No, it's fine. But yeah, I'm a lot more. I know a lot at my age. Because I hold that belief that it doesn't. Your age doesn't slightly determine how smart. Or how much exactly you know, because you can learn anything at any age when you start experiencing and you start looking at things or learning, and it depends on what you've experienced in life, and that applies to me so much because I learned so much throughout my 19 years, almost 20,
Although to be fair, I have heard that IQ diminishes slightly with age.
It depends on how much you're using it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. Yeah, but I think Sassy's generally on the mark there.
I'm of the opinion that age controls your development as a human being.
Yeah.
Physically, brain development, muscles, bones, all that.
Yeah.
But it in of itself does not dictate the life experiences a person has or where they stand maturity-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, when it comes to maturity-wise, you still have to, I'm still you have to wait till somebody's brain is developed enough to make certain decisions.
Yeah.
Teenagers are the dumb.
Randolph, I posted the rules for the internet in chat.
Oh, fantastic. I'll take a look at that.
The link to it.
Great.
Yeah, she'll get a good laugh.
Oh, I see.
She'll get a good laugh.
I decided that's why Atheist Rationale, I
got it.
I'm not a lot of times like to say my age because a lot of people just as soon as I say it, like, you're really not, you're not mature enough, you don't know this, you don't know that.
So at your age, the incidences that led to me having PTSD had happened.
Oh, really?
So you being 20 says nothing about whether or not you're an adult or anything. I really do things like, Sassy's 20, but you need to look at what kind of life has Sassy had to lead as they grew up. And so now I look at that and you're just like, oh, well, let's use my life. I've been through foster care. I've been abused. I went through 2 cults growing up. And I've had to go through all this and then the military and everything. So I had to grow up by the time I was a child. I never had that childhood. So you look at that and you're like, well, it makes more sense that people look at Aaron and confuse Aaron with being in the 30s. Because
that's where your head seems to be at.
But then people also look at my face and they're like, you're 14. And I'm like, no.
They ask you for ID when you want to buy cigarettes and stuff like that, I guess.
I have actually...
They raised the age to 21 here for cigarettes.
I was in the military, funny story, and I was trying to buy a drink because I was 21. I had just turned 21. I think it was like a couple weeks after my 21st birthday. And they took my ID, and it was my military ID, and they called the police because they claimed it was a false ID.
Oh no!
Well, they're doing their job.
They were doing
You
their
know
job.
what?
They were like, it's a fake ID, and I was like, "Are you what?"
It wasn't too long ago, like last month or a couple months ago. I didn't have an ID. I hadn't got my ID yet, which I do now have one. So when my cousin and I went to go see Pet Cemetery, it was a Pet Cemetery, which is rated R. They wouldn't allow us to go and watch it because both of us didn't have. She lost her license, so she didn't have her ID with her, and I didn't have it. I didn't get it yet. So it was like, are you serious right now? We've gone to see rated R movies before. We're old enough to do it. And it's like, no, you either have to have a legal, your peer parent with you, or an adult that has, can take you in. And then I'm like, we're not gonna go be escorted into, by my mom because we're older. So it was funny, and we were really just mad about that for like so long. But now I have it, so yay! I can go to see a rated R movie without bringing my parent with me.
I am of the opinion that rated R movies, you should have an ID, because rated R gets very, very quickly into NC-17, and the line's kind of blurred there.
Yeah.
Because let's look at Deadpool.
Yeah, but I don't know what the age limit is anywhere else, but in where I'm from, it's you can start seeing rated R movies at the age of 17. So if you're with like another adult that has a ID, I think. But when you turn 18, you can go see any movie. But now they have it where if you look too young, because I guess I look too young to them.
You don't look 20, I'll be honest. You do look like a teenager.
Everyone thinks that.
Well, if she's 19, technically.
Fair.
She's all like, "No, fuck you, Sean."
I'm using a nice finger. Don't make me use the second one. Don't make me use the second one.
Wait, never mind. That is this one.
Yeah, don't make me use
So I
that.
guess we're on to the third letter in the NIFB acronym now, are we?
I'm just playing sassy.
Yeah, that's what everyone says, and then until I start going sassy on them and say, "Oh, I was just joking." Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There is a cat fussing. 2 seconds.
Okay, and for about the 5,000th time, Celeste Girl and I have separate apartments next to each other. We are not connected in any way, sexually or romantically.
He's on the market and he's free to a good home.
Well, we would be completely incompatible as a couple anyway. So,
but we make great friends.
Yeah. That's why I refer to her as my companion, but there's nothing more to it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a companion without there being romance. Yeah.
Verification.
We keep each other sane.
Yeah. We just have a very long history together because her mother babysat for me when she was pregnant with her, so I have literally known her all her life.
My mommy changed his diapers.
Yeah.
But I couldn't live without him, so. You broke the chat, thanks. Bye.
All right.
Well, I had to put that in because Jen Morgan is shipping us in the side chat. So.
Oh no!
I want to make
that again.
All right, now everybody's gonna start making fan fictions about you guys, and they're gonna get really raunchy.
You commission me for that.
So far, no one's made any fan fiction love story about me with anyone, so hopefully I'll be lucky.
Don't
Unless if
say it. You are speaking it into existence, and then it gets commissioned.
Oh
Well,
yeah, who is really gonna ship me?
It really is.
Sassy, once you start getting up there, it'll happen.
Well,
There's
you
a
know,
lot of
wait,
talented artists out
maybe
there.
that could be the thing. You know, Cyrus's channel gets all the fan art, so
Yeah.
maybe my channel can get just the fanfic,
The
you know,
fan
just
porn.
the writing.
But seriously,
fan
who is
porn.
really gonna ship me with
Well,
anyone? Really?
His channel did get some fan fiction. It was just about Tommy McMurtry and a pumpkin.
I'm also doing a fan fiction for Cyrus's channel of Cain and Abel.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
Turn it into a love story instead of a murder story. Or maybe it's about necrophilia? Is that where you're going with it?
Mom?
Okay. They're both alive.
That's okay, good, because that other direction is a lot worse.
Maybe that's where Bigfoot came from. He didn't kill him. He just turned into Bigfoot.
Well, that's
Went off in the woods by himself.
Elvis didn't die.
Mom.
He just went home.
Actually, that's a Mormon belief that Bigfoot is actually Cain.
Yeah.
Is that real? What? That's
an
Yes.
actual thing.
That's crazy.
Ask Mr.
That
Atheist
Abel
about
didn't
it.
kill him. He just went off into the woods and became Bigfoot.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron in the side chat, Tria's asking if that's Yumi.
This is Yumi.
Is Yumi yummy?
Yumi show. I watch really lame cartoons.
No, we're not siblings either, Christy. We're actually first cousins once removed.
Have you seen that cartoon called Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law?
Yeah, that one's pretty funny.
that one.
Oh, that's
Adult
neat.
Swim ones are great.
I wish they could have done a crossover for the Harvey Birdman, because I thought a perfect one for that would have been to have Wile E. Coyote suing Acme for all the defective products they sold him over the years.
Yeah,
I think they
totally.
need another 4 seasons, actually. Stephen Colbert seems busy, though.
Oh, and remember somebody was talking before about the guy from InfoWars sending kitty porn?
Alex Jones?
Yes, the worst part about the Alex Jones thing is he sent it to the victims of Sandy Hook, their parents.
Oh.
It was actually their lawyers. However,
But because
It's still
Alex
bad.
Jones says that Sandy Hook, that they said that Sandy Hook didn't actually happen. And so he was getting back at their lawyers by sending them kitty porn.
that's not even the case. He got caught distributing it amongst people in InfoWars. If you read the very last paragraph of the article, they talk about that.
Okay, I missed that part. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So here in Canada, a person can go to prison for up to 14 years for child pornography. What is it? Is the rule similar in the U.S.?
I have no idea what the sentence is, but yeah, he's gonna go to fucking prison.
Yeah.
It is 14 to 20 years in the US.
Oh, it can be a bit longer.
Wow.
Well, they have a minimum 14.
No.
Okay.
But now see, he's trying to get out of this by saying that it was the lawyers that people are setting him up. He didn't actually do it.
He's got so many
He's claiming
conspiracy theorist fans that, wow, that's gonna.
He's claiming it wasn't me, that the lawyers are setting him up.
Here's the beautiful irony about it, though, right? See, he pushed that whole Pizzagate conspiracy. You know, that whole thing about Democrats and their child porn ring under a pizza place that didn't even have a basement. And then he gets caught with child porn.
Right.
I don't know.
Just
He
call
pushed
me
this one
Papa
conspiracy-
John.
Pushed one conspiracy about it, and then he ends up being the guy that's doing it. You know what I mean?
I meet him in the
Oh, yeah.
Pizza Hut. Okay.
Pizza the Hut?
Ugh.
The worst part about that Pizzagate conspiracy is the people that took Alex Jones seriously. There was a guy that went there and shot the place up. Luckily, nobody got hurt. But
it's freaking.
Well, see, and that's basically brings us back to the NIFB thing.
Stochastic terrorism.
They're not actually, going to
Advocating
kill
for
anyone
violence,
themselves, but if they keep preaching this stuff, it's pretty much inevitable that sooner or later one of the people in their congregation is going to come unhinged and go and take a gun and start shooting people.
Oh yeah,
But they expect to just be gay, or it's going to create the next serial killer killing LGBT people.
Yeah,
or who they think are LGBTQ. That's another risk too.
There are a couple of sermons that I've listened to where they say that God sends these like people out to commit these like horrendous acts, and that
yeah,
if somebody
You know
takes
what
that seriously, or if like they have schizophrenia and like they think like God is speaking to them, they might think that they're the person that God is sending out to do these things, and they'll take the NIFB seriously, and like we'll have Pulse Nightclub #2.
And that's another scary thing, because Pulse Nightclub was not a... Pulse Nightclub was a nightmare and a half for people.
Yeah.
Pulse Nightclub was people went to have a good time, to live their lives, find partners, whether for that night or permanently or whatever, do what they want to do as human beings, and somebody comes in with a gun going, And then it was discovered the shooter was closeted LGBT and hated himself so much because of his religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad was super radical, if I remember correctly, and like he pushed him against being himself, and the guy was even like a regular member of like somebody who hung out at Pulse. He wasn't just there to like scope it out.
Like, he was there often as somebody who attended the nightclub as a patron, and then it turned into the nightclub shooting, and it's like, I want people to listen to that and realize when you are hurting people so severely, they feel like they're only, like, they hate themselves so much that it's like, they get hit so hard, they're like, oh, well, if I'm bad, everybody with my same sexuality is bad, and if I need to die because of my sexuality, they all need to die, and what do you get?
A dumpster fire.
Did any of you guys catch the Q&A section of the Masa conference or whatever?
No, because I had other things to do.
I wouldn't give them my view.
Good.
They're not even
Good.
worth my view. I don't want to encourage them.
Just the stuff that they said about like if they were to ever have like a LGBTQ like child was very hard to listen to. Like
something about that.
Oh yeah, that they'd actually kill them.
No.
They didn't deserve to live.
Well, I guess indirectly, but that's not what they said. It was more about like throwing them to the street and then never talking to them again, and like
there's some good Christian values for you, isn't there?
Yeah.
Those people need psychotherapy. That's ridiculous.
Well, and that again goes back. I forget which of the pastors it was, but the thing about child abuse, said something to the effect that if a child had a limp wrist, break that wrist.
Yeah, Tommy
I don't
McMurdy.
remember which pastor.
Tommy McMurdy, he said something about that. And Stephen Anderson said, he was asked if what happens if one of your children came out as gay or homosexual, and he says that I would never talk to them ever again. I would acknowledge them. But Tom McMurdy, he's the one that said in a sermon, saying Bible verses what to do, and with that he would it just horrible things that he would either say or do.
His finger would break.
It's McMurtry.
He pushed that button so hard his finger would break.
I'm gonna start calling you objectively sassy. I'm not sure if you catch the reference.
No.
Objectively Dan in like the original like I'm not saying Pastor McMurtry is sexually attracted to pumpkins video that Mr. Atheist did. He mispronounced his name as McMurdy, which I thought was hilarious.
McMurtry.
Oh, that's not. Oh, McMurtry. Oh, that's how I've been saying it
with an R.
Yeah.
R's. 2 R's.
So I'm gonna start calling you objectively sassy.
It's like Tommy McMurdy. It's like Murica.
The attitude they have about children, though, raising them is just atrocious. Like children are so highly dependent on the parents.
As
Children are
little,
yeah. Go ahead.
as little as 1 year old,
Yeah,
they
it's ridiculous.
allow beating them with a very literal rod, or a switch from a tree.
Don't forget the blanket training.
Oh, yeah,
beyond
blanket
atrocious.
training.
It's just
Is the blanket training a legitimate thing? Because I know that was something that
Yeah.
That is a legitimate thing.
The
From the-
Duggars did it with all of their children.
That's the problem. That's the problem because the
that's
Duggars
worse
are.
than cruel. This is just horrible.
That's the
The
problem.
Duggars
Though.
did it with
That's the
the
problem.
Duggars
Though.
did it with all of their children. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What
That's
do you
the
mean by
problem with
blanket
saying-
training exactly?
The Pearls and the Duggars are technically not NIFB. Yes,
They're old
there
IFB.
are a lot. There are associations that they have,
They're
but they're
associated
not.
with the old IFB. However, they have a lot of the NIFB doctrine.
And they're
Yeah.
quiverful.
And so
But they're not the
don't know what
same.
blanket
Though.
training
They're
is.
different cults.
No, but they still do the blanket training.
I was about to explain blanket training real quick.
Go
So
ahead.
blanket training is they'll stick like a small 6-month-old child on a blanket and they'll put the child's favorite toy just outside of the blanket. And then if that child tries to go get the toy, they can't.
Huh?
Where have you heard this?
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard this from anybody except Mike and Debbie Pearl, and I.
What the heck is having the child grab the toy? What? I don't.
And then they put the child right back in the blanket and they do it again until the child learns not to leave that blanket.
What sermon is that from?
Oh my god.
I would love a
It's their
link.
form of it's their form of obedience.
Sounds like
'Cause-
child abuse to me.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
child.
yeah.
Yeah.
100% child abuse.
Child
They
abuse
call
for
it
sure.
obedience.
Child abuse is for certain something that happens within the new IFB. Like I said earlier, as little as 1 year old, they'll start beating their children with literal rods. They also don't believe in things like autism or ADHD. They think that these kids just need to get beat more. And
I heard,
beat it
that.
out of
I
them.
heard them talk about that. Yeah.
and
Just beat
we
it
know
beat it out of them.
Well, they don't
We
believe
know-
in like certain physical disabilities either.
we know through scientific research that children will start realizing that they're trans at a very young age, and as soon as they start experimenting with like how they present and stuff, these people will beat that out of them as well.
Yeah. The gay therapy crap. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
I don't
these are
mind
bad
kind of
people.
pray the gay away, but don't beat it out of them.
Well, like certain physical disabilities aren't believed. So like I have family who don't believe I have my physical disabilities and they're like, we should have just beat them out of you, or you're not hypermobile, you're just double jointed, you're just more flexible. And it's like,
Bitch, please.
I'm pretty sure this isn't just double jointed. I'm pretty sure nobody else's fingers bend like this.
That's
Yeah.
trippy.
It's like, bitch, please.
Please, Aaron, that actually looks painful.
I've never-
just watching you do that.
I've never
Until
heard
you
of like
say,
this
"Later,
hypermobile
Felicia."
thing.
Go ahead.
Can't see it. Couldn't see that. You weren't zoomed in.
It's freaky.
You got to talk while you do it.
Say something while you're doing it.
I can touch my wrist with my thumb.
Oh wow, I can't do that.
I can turn my elbow inside out.
Oh, oh.
I can't see that because you're not talking again.
Are you made of rubber?
All of my connective tissue
It's
is,
Elastigirl.
She's Elastigirl.
Hey, now we know her true identity.
I'm just joking around. If you could please send me like links to that. I'd like to learn about that. If it especially
I don't
considering
know if
it's
that's
physical.
ever been in a sermon. I know it's something that my family has told me to my face.
Oh,
He's-
about the
he-
blanket
he-
training thing, or are you talking about the physical disabilities?
Blanket training and the physical disabilities.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've known other people who have gone through that of their family, trying to deny they had the physical disabilities and that if they prayed harder or whatever.
I just wanted to know about the hypermobility thing. I'll just Google it later.
Yeah, we can't have an imperfect child because God doesn't make anything that's not perfect.
Or you're only built with these physical disabilities because your parents are reprobates.
Oh, yeah, you know what a lot of Christians hate is when they say that. Oh, when you say, oh, but you claim that God made us all, He made us in His image, and then you say, oh, yeah, and then they yes, okay, yes, we agree, and we're like, oh yeah, so He made gay people, and then He said, no, He didn't. No, they're going against God's design. I was like, well, you just said
hyperflexible people.
You give all that, and they just.
God's plastic man.
Yeah, well, it's again that problem of God being all-knowing and God, knowing everything that will happen until the end of time. So it's like He already knew these people were going to be this way before they were born, but He had them born that way.
It's so much fun watching Matt Powell try and argue his way out of that because he's terrible at it.
But then it's also like having that family that's like, oh, you're not perfect, but God made you to be perfect, but you're not perfect because your parents are reprobates, blah, blah, blah. It gets to the point where it's very frustrating to listen to because it's like, so you're saying I'm disabled with genetic disabilities because my parents were reprobates and had a child?
Yeah, something you had nothing to do with, and you get to be punished for it.
How does that make sense?
Speaking of your parents, one of the things that really bugs me about these NIFB people is they'll move around people from around the country or whatever to live closer to their churches. It's something that they call spiritual relocation. So they're so big on control that they tell you where to live and who to talk to, and
yeah, I don't meet the qualification for my NIFB family to speak to me.
Yeah. If you don't mind my saying it, Aaron, can I say what happened with your?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, her family was asked to move to Arizona to be closer to Stephen Anderson's Faithful Word Baptist Church.
Wow.
Ugh.
Because of me.
All the way from Florida.
Oh, to get away
my
from
family was
you,
in Virginia at the time.
I'm sorry?
So to get away from you?
Okay, so my family was in Virginia. I had still been living in Florida because of my ex-husband.
Okay, we're listening.
So when I left the military, I had gotten married right after leaving the military to my ex-husband, the Russian Orthodox gentleman. So I stayed in Florida to live with him, but my family and where I dipped out of was in Virginia. So.
Okay.
And then they were ordered.
They had to move to Arizona though? Even though you didn't live anywhere near them?
Mm-hmm. Because I was all on the same side of the country. I was too close.
And they have to be closer to the church, of course.
Yeah. A lot of the times they'll do that to buff up their financials of the church. Because they're really, really big on tithing. And it's not just that 10% that the Bible says. It goes a lot further than that. If you were to get birthday presents, you have to pay 10% of whatever you get. If somebody buys you a car, you have to pay 10% of that. If you're going on a soul winning marathon and the church pays for it, you have to pay 10% of that. If you go out to eat, you have to pay 10% of that. I mean, somebody buys you dinner. It's ridiculous. Financial exploitation is a very big thing that they do in the cult.
Wow. Scientology is known for that too.
Keep them poor and stupid.
But it sounds like these people are more extreme.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's getting to be so irritating because it's like,
Well, that's why it's very important that we shut down all their sources of revenue on the internet, like PayPal.
No, because here's the thing is that they're going to have their wives hold these PayPal accounts, and now we have to prove their wives are doing this hate speech, but their wives aren't allowed to speak in church.
Well, they have to go to the trouble of doing this, which, at least there's that.
I think all that matters
is we're causing them a
connected to the church or not. But I'm not sure how that works It's that fucking Keemstar move.
Are they doing any tax evasion stuff that looks like?
Oh,
They're
sure.
they're
The
under the
Catholic Church can do it. Why can't they?
They're a 501c3 technically, so
because they're a church. Churches don't pay taxes.
They don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, I know. We're kind of going through that a little bit here in Canada, but so are there? Like, I assume there's a whole bunch of criteria for somebody to maintain that valid status of the charity, the 501(c)(3), you said it was. We have different names for these things here in Canada. So I guess people are looking at, are there some technical reasons why they shouldn't be that could be used to complain to the government to get that status taken away?
I'd have to look into it more. I just have to look into the laws more, and I'm a little bit more versed on how these things are written.
Okay.
To see if there are ways to do it.
Okay.
Because I do have a criminal justice background.
Awesome.
I have a forensic background.
Nice.
Oh, wow. That's
I do have that background, so I'd have to look into the laws and see what we can do. But the first thing we need to do is get them actually labeled as a hate group before we can do any freaking thing else.
Faithful Word Baptist Church is labeled as one. Verity is labeled as one. However, the organization as a whole is not labeled.
That's what we need to start with. Is we need to start with getting the whole organization labeled as a hate group in America.
I don't want to say too much, but we do have a couple of contacts in the SPLC, and we've been working with them. So there are the steps are being taken right now. So
but once we can do that, we can use the SPLC to go, okay, here are these churches in the NIFB, they're labeled as hate groups. And then we can start to get their tax exemptions removed. But until the whole organization's labeled as a hate group, we can't do anything.
I totally know that too. Yeah.
They're still, the SPLC unfortunately is still under the impression that they're just loosely based, loosely associated churches, even though it's an organization, of course, headed by Steven Anderson. In order for any pastor to be ordained and start their own church network, in order for any of their pastors, every pastor in their movement has to be ordained by Steven Anderson. Case in point.
He's the kingpin. All right.
Exactly.
And that's what we need to start with trying to take down, is because we know who the kingpin is. It's like trying to take down a drug cartel. You know who the kingpin is. You start there.
Yeah.
And how you start from there is you go through the lower levels and you slowly just start
chinking away at the armor.
And then once there's no more, or a little bit of armor, just not even enough to protect him left, we just go,
bye.
To do that, we have to remove their tax exemption, and
I think it's absolutely hilarious that they're calling for the government to kill all LGBTQ plus people and allies.
Not just allies. If you have family that proselytizes to you their religion, they're supposed to be put to death as well.
Right, but talk about separation of church and state. It's okay if they want their tax exempt status, but they want to make it into law where you have to follow the Bible and kill these people? Which one is it, people? Make up your mind.
I like how we're finally having a topical discussion. I'm assuming in about 5 minutes we're going to switch to porn.
We'll switch to porn again.
Yeah, there's that one other left.
Why'd you bring it up?
The fourth letter.
We're not going to switch. We're going to bring it up.
It keeps looping back around because I don't think we can take more than 5 or 10 minutes about talking about these people.
I just wanted to get people to laugh. That's it. Comic relief is fun.
Without somebody throwing up their hands or just throwing up, period.
Oh boy.
There's only so much outright hate and misogyny and child abuse you can take before you need to laugh at something.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, talking about this stuff was so bad it made my cat throw up.
And he's wearing headphones.
It started raining. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I'm sorry.
Can't even hear it, and he's throwing up.
Just listening to the conference, the the first day like almost threw me in like a meltdown. I like needed like 2 hours just to chill. I like was like stimming and like pacing around the house and like blaring music because that's one of the only ways I can just relax myself.
Yell it out. Yell it out and console yourself.
Yeah. On the positive side of that, I was reading that the protest against the conference went a lot further than the LGBT, that there were a lot of people just basically representing the city of Orlando, telling them that they were not welcome here.
Yeah, we
And
don't
the
believe you're
protest
right.
came to be like 150 people.
Yeah, there was a pretty decent amount of people there. There was definitely more people at the protest than there were in the conference. Apparently, a lot of people were afraid to show their faces there because of what they'd be associated with. Yeah, which I guess is some sort of positive. It tells you that the members aren't fully indoctrinated into their hate, right? But
we wish.
Well, either that or they're just cowards.
I just found a way that we can get it removed more quickly without the hate.
One thing to note, though, is that honestly, I think this is funny because for whatever reason they have to do this is
good one, Aaron.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was reading what you posted, Aaron. It made me lose my train of thought. Every time that they talked about the protest, or the NIFB people even took their own videos, they try to make it seem like there was only like 20 or 30 people there when there's evidence to the contrary, which is ridiculous on their part. Did any of you guys see the Orlando Sentinel video with Stephen Anderson and the protesters? He got in their faces and like was telling them that they all needed to die and like get AIDS and shit.
Pretty more of the.
Wow, he should have been arrested for terroristic threats.
Technically, it's not, because he wasn't saying that he was going to kill them.
Oh, that's true.
He was being very careful how he worded it. I remember that.
For sure.
He was being very careful, but he could still fall under that exemption that I just mentioned.
Yep.
So I'm going to start working on that personally.
I'll read it out for the
Go
people
for
that are
it.
viewing this. If a church participates in illegal activity or violates public policy, it could lose its 501c3 status. When determining whether a church will lose tax-exempt status, a court will consider the prohibited acts in which the church participated, as well as how much of the church's time was spent in participating in those activities. There have been cases regarding the issue of racial discrimination in education, where organizations have not qualified for IRC 501c3 status on the grounds that activities of the organizations violated public policy, even though the organizations did not violate any federal statutes or state or local laws.
Get him, Aaron.
Okay, so there's an angle to work on.
You should really send that to Shannon Q or KC, by the way. They're the real masterminds behind this whole pumpkin posse thing.
Well, I know Shannon Q has been actively working to get them classified as a hate group.
The only thing I have with it is to deal with removing the 501c3 status. I will send it to Casey for trying to do that, but Shannon won't have the pull to help do it because Shannon's not an American citizen, and that's where Shannon is a fantastic resource, but it's going to get absolutely shafted in this regard.
Casey is, though.
Right.
Casey is an American citizen, so I'm going to send it to her and say, hey, can you help me out with this aspect? And then I'm going to ask Shannon if Shannon can help blast this for American citizens.
Right, because she needs to have a legal standing as a U.S. citizen.
Right.
And Shannon does not. And it's sad because Shannon is a fantastic human being, and I am sure Shannon would love to help with this.
About that, she's a Canadian. She's a really great person, though. I just
She's a fantastic human being.
Because it's fun to say about.
About. Are you ootin' about?
I love South Park's rendition of Canada. We're just glad to be noticed.
Exactly.
Well, you know, I heard a great joke. You know how Canada got its name, right?
Wait a second, your head doesn't flap.
Well,
You know how
South
Canada
Florida
got
does a lot of stuff right, but there are only some Canadians who do that. They haven't had the full exposure they needed.
Like I say, you know how Canada got its name, right?
Okay.
Three guys were standing around in the field, and they said, "Hey, well, what are we gonna name this place? Everybody pick a letter." The first guy went C-A. The next guy went N-A. The next guy went D-A. There we go.
Oh, that's funny.
That's fantastic.
I gotta. Someone told me this once. He said, how you can learn how to speak French Canadian in like a few seconds. All you have to do is go, ha ha, eh?
I'm trying to get Canada to just annex the upper Midwest, so I'll be Canadian by default.
Are you in Alaska?
No, we're
I'm
in
in
Upper
Upper Michigan.
Oh, Michigan.
So
Yeah,
I figure we need to get Canada to take, Upper Michigan and the top third of Wisconsin and Minnesota.
And California too.
So
you guys are on your own.
So what I tell people is that we do intend to take Alaska back one day, and then people will say stuff like, "Oh, you and what army?" So, "Oh, Canadian Army. We're underestimated all the time." And then they go on and say, "Well, if you're so tough, what are you waiting for?" And I say, "We're just waiting for Sarah Palin to leave."
Oh!
She can see Russia from her house.
And the moon. Apparently, it qualifies her as an astronaut now.
Trump claims that the moon is part of Mars or something like that.
Oh yes.
I don't know.
I forwarded that around. That was ridiculous.
Actually, this idea I had about getting Canada to annex the upper Midwest is based on a precedent.
I have no objections to that, by the way.
When I was living in Minnesota, they had declassified a whole bunch of Canadian military documents. And while going through these, they discovered that Canada actually had a plan in place that if the U.S. ever did a hostile action, they were going to send a battalion of tanks to capture St. Paul and annex Minnesota.
Nice.
Okay, I just sent the thing to 3 people.
Woohoo! Go, Aaron, go.
Fuck yes.
I sent it to Casey, Shannon, and Jimmy.
Because while Shannon is Canadian, she may have input on how to facilitate this.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. This is fantastic. This is the first live stream. This is the first live stream I've been in that it's actually productive.
Yeah.
And the NFIB is also in Canada. Maybe Shannon can do something there with that.
At the beginning of the video, maybe you didn't hear it, I'm trying to get in touch with them because they're in a neighboring city for me. They're very close to where I am in BC here, and Columbia. And I'm wanting to have a conversation with them in public debate. They haven't replied to me yet. I'm just assuming that they're busy with a lot of requests because a lot of contacts because they've been famous lately.
I can imagine how this is going to go. They're just going to mute your mic and block you, and that'll be the end of that.
They haven't done anything like that to me.
I haven't heard of any of their pastors actually engaging in debate, other than Matt Powell. If you were to message Matt Powell and he thinks he can turn you into propaganda like he did Raging Atheist, he'll probably accept the debate.
Well, I don't know how to get in touch with him. If you know how,
comment on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, make a comment on the YouTube channel.
I tried it through his YouTube channel, and it's a poor way to get in touch. So comments and videos don't seem to work. There doesn't seem to be any other contact option there for me.
Did you look him up through his church? See if there's
Way of Truth.
I couldn't find it.
Way of Truth Ministries doesn't exactly exist.
Oh, so they don't actually have a web page or anything?
Yeah.
No. But I do know it's somewhere located in Durand, Michigan, but other than that,
excuse me, I'm sorry.
You can't find it on the yellow pages. You can't find a phone number or address for them. None of that
It's
stuff.
not an official. It's a church, but it's not a recognized church yet.
It's a basement church.
Not properly registered. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Which means that one I'm not too worried about following under the 501c3 right now, because it wouldn't.
That's their backup plan. So build ammunition stores.
It'd be interesting to talk about like Guzman, 1611, and Matt Powell, honestly, because there's this video that Steven Anderson put out about 10 years ago called like Steven Anderson predicts the new IFB movement, and like the whole thing about it is trying to get at the youth, installing this next generation of pastors or whatever, and unfortunately they're using a 12-year-old kid and Matt Powell, of course, as the faces of this movement. They both run their YouTube channels. They don't have like a very large following, but they have a significant following nonetheless. And
Matt Powell is a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It really ashames me that I'm actually the same age as Matt Powell and seem to be.
But what they serve as, though, are like the faces for that segment of the movement. And unfortunately, they pull in that youth crowd, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I watched it was on Matt Powell's channel, and this kid I think it was
I keep forgetting, guys, when we talk about Matt Powell, we're supposed to call him Cupcake.
Oh, Cupcake.
Okay, so while I was watching Cupcake's channel,
There you go. Cupcake Powell. Him who should not be named.
I saw, I watched the video, and this kid, I'm pretty sure it was the one that Atheist Rationale is mentioning. He's
12 years old.
Yeah, and just saying how just using that, gays they're calling him the F word, and saying that unbelievers will go to hell, and just talking like Matt Powell and all the other horrible people that are, just brainwashed.
Listen to Guzman. I actively cannot because it hurts.
It's painful. Just to like realize what this kid's gone through. Like he must have been like beat as a kid just to have this sort of devout, like,
indoctrination.
Yeah, it goes further than that too. This kid was homeschooled his entire life. And it's the same with Matt Powell. He's never not been in the IFB system. He claims that he was an atheist at one point, but there's evidence to say that that's just a bullshit like lie that he says to like atheists. I don't know.
Wait, he's claimed that he was an atheist at one point.
Of course he wasn't, though, because he went through homeschool, and his dad runs an old IFB church, and he's always been in the movement. That's one of the reasons why he's so popular with Steven Anderson.
I know that sigh.
One thing that is different about Matt Powell, though, considering the other pastors or like other people, is for some reason he's exempt from the rule of not being allowed to go to college. But since he's became a more prominent figure, he started doing online classes instead of physically going to college.
But the college that Matt Powell's going to is run by the IFB. It is funded.
Oh, so it's a Bible college, even though they talk about how bullshit Bible colleges are and that how.
But it's one that is funded by the IFB itself. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Steven Anderson has plenty of sermons.
It's like PragerU.
All that stuff is against the Bible for whatever reason.
It's like Prager University. As long as it's endorsed by them, it's okay.
Dennis Prager has some strange ideas about atheism.
It's not a real university, though. It's just a weird thing. Yeah. Weird name for a channel. Propaganda.
It's all about the money.
It's all a mess.
It's a shame these people.
Although it's going to be awkward for KC because the first thing I have ever dealt with KC was sending KC that. That's going to be a fun day.
Casey's a really personal person when you're like start talking to her and stuff. Honestly, you'll probably get along.
I mean, like the first time I messaged Sarah, it was January 1st. I want to say.
Happy New Year.
And it was like about a mic. It was fine. It's fine. And it was over Twitter.
Sounds about right. I see your little snowball there.
What's really funny right now is Cirrus is live talking about PragerU.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, you guys, I don't know.
Alarmist transgender something.
I'm so glad that he's out there bread pilling people right now.
I don't know if anyone has ever read about it or watched the video, but as you all know about the Westboro Baptist Church, the pastor's, well, the old guy, his daughter, well, his granddaughter, I think she's the oldest one, I think. She actually left the church, and she, her story slightly her leaving, well, and realizing her mistakes kind of remind me of it, because she said that she didn't start realizing her mistakes until she got into a very a civil logical discussion with atheists on Twitter, and that's what started. She started thinking about it, and she realized everything was so wrong, and then she left, and her family has disowned her.
Oh.
So yeah, I watched the video of her talking about it all, and it's just like, wow. I mean, because they're brainwashed from the moment they're born. I mean, seriously, and for her to be able to realize her wrongdoings and what she used to do and what her family was doing, and to come out of that and to learn and grow and be a better person. Hopefully someone in the NIFB will do the same thing. Hopefully one of the members will. Everyone went silent. Everyone went silent.
Yeah, you broke the chat.
Sorry,
I was messaging.
I got distracted by bread pills.
I made a comment in the section we were talking about it, the NFB, and I said, "Kill me now, LOL," and then someone in the chat says, "Stop the this." No, you're too smart, too motivated, too pretty, too nice. We only shot NIF. Never mind.
But
if you're wondering what like the red pill thing is, by the way, it's like the lefty version of the red pill.
Fair.
Oh, okay.
No, I messaged Shannon the thing, and I brought up, like, you can help us blast it. However, you trying to, like, and I'm so sorry to Shannon, because I wish Shannon could do more. It's like, you can't really help remove it on the law level because you're Canadian. And I did mention American laws are dumb, because they are in this regard. But it can't remove it on a legal level, but you can help blast it for American audiences so that we can do something and bring more attention to how this shit work.
Yeah. Like I said, though, we were talking to people in the SPLC. We're working on it.
What is the SPLC?
Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh, okay, SPLC. Okay. I think I'm following him on Twitter.
You can, like, Shannon, the only thing Shannon can't really help with is getting the tax exempt removed under this clause.
As she can advise.
But Shannon can advise and bring it up and
make it public, because everybody listens to her.
Oh, Shannon's an amazing, amazing human being.
Oh, hell yeah.
I absolutely adore Shannon.
The level of research she does for her stuff.
It's something else. In a good way.
Yeah.
I sometimes compare myself to her.
Cool.
I want to be.
No, not in a good, not in the sense. No, I compare myself.
You want to be her.
What?
And I compare myself in the sense of I see what she's done, and I compare it to what I've done in my life. It's like she's better and more people look up to her, and she's done so much for the community versus me, which is down at the bottom pole. That's what I mean by I compare myself to her. I compare myself to other atheists in the community that I really admire.
It took me a long time to learn this lesson, and I'm still learning it. So it's kind of helped me along. The best thing you can do is to not put people on pedestals. Try and work on your own accomplishments and get your own work done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
also,
Like,
I do compare
to
myself to
be
other
in.
people.
You have a lot more power than you realize.
Yeah,
Hold on,
I
Purple wants to
actually
say
don't have nearly
something.
as much as
Look at-
Shannon,
look
and
at
I
the-
wish I was like half as good a person as Shannon is.
Look at the specific things they've done and strive to do those things as well is fine, but
But in your own way.
Yeah, trying to be like somebody else is just going to turn your life to hell, I think.
Oh, I just wish I was half as good a person as Shannon, because Shannon's an amazing human being.
I look at
ever be able to have her
Shannon and
level
some
of
of these
patience.
other people, and I don't know where they even find the time to do all the research.
Some people love doing research. Yeah, makes it a lot easier when you like it.
Actually, I like doing research. Unfortunately, I'm somewhat dyslexic, so I'm a very slow reader.
I rely on CC. Closed captioning is my life. I actually have very crappy hearing. I put in the chat earlier, my left ear's kind of being a pain in the ass. Because for whatever reason, my tube is dislodging, so yay.
I have 2 types of dyslexia, one for hearing and one for reading. So it's more of a problem when I was younger, but it still does have an impact sometimes.
Is there one for speaking?
Yeah, hi.
That's usually
I think George Bush Jr. had it.
There is one for numbers, though, and I have that one.
Yeah, I went to school with someone who had that problem, too.
Are any of you guys
but the way it presents is like letters that look similar just look absolutely the same to me. So the word like lift in all lowercase is just.
They're all tall letters.
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
lines.
when I was a kid, sometimes the words would just move around on the page right in front of me. It doesn't happen now, but under fluorescent lighting, it would be more common that would happen. Under steady light like sun or something incandescent, it almost never happened.
I just kind of learned what letters give me the most issues, and then it takes me like a couple tries around a sentence. I find cursive is a lot easier for me to read.
Mm-hmm.
That being said,
They don't teach cursive anymore.
They still do in Canada here.
In America, they don't want kids to learn cursive. It's like it's some kind of secret code.
Well, I think the schools have decided that since everyone types everything, it's no longer necessary to handwrite.
You know what? You know what could bring it back? Get the flat earthers to write in the secret code of cursive.
Oh.
Then a whole bunch of them will want to learn it and bring it into the school system.
Cursive is a conspiracy.
No, it's a secret language you can use to beat the conspiracies. Yeah.
Does cursive serve any purpose?
Speaking of cursive writing, that's not even being taught in schools around me, and that's sad because I was brought up old school. I mean, I learned cursive writing. I had to.
That's because people realized that cursive was useless. It just looks pretty. People actually have a much easier time reading regular letters.
But what if you have to? When you sign penmanship, when you sign checks, and you have to learn how to cursive write.
You don't.
Well, around where I'm from, we do.
It's a social norm. That's all it is. You could print your name out.
Actually, I had a hell of a time.
Yeah, but it's so much easier for somebody to forge your It's so much easier for someone to forge your signature if you print it versus if you write it in cursive.
Yep.
Did you know that you could even fashion your own symbol as your signature?
Yep.
Yeah, it's called
People
the sigil.
do that as well too. Yeah, so
you
can do it that way.
Character. Yep.
Actually, the only tattoo I have is my fiance's sigil.
If my wife's name
to sign her work.
I don't know. I have strong opinions about cursive, and I apologize if I came off rude.
Yeah.
I write in cursive because it's actively just for me to do.
I'm just saying that where I'm from, it's when you do go to bank, when you sign checks, or when you go to a restaurant, you really have to do it. That's you have to do.
Well, I was actually, my younger sister and my younger brother were not taught cursive at all. And my 6-month-old half-brother is never going to learn cursive. Because it's not taught anymore.
You teach him.
It just runs back to that thing where it's like there's no practical use for it anymore.
Send him to school in Canada.
I'm not saying that it's wrong to use it. Don't take it the wrong way. If you have a preference for cursive, that's totally fine.
I actually have a practical use for it because doing the whole lift thing wears out my wrist and everything because I don't have just the physical strength. So
I can understand that.
By combining each word as like a long line and just writing each word without having to lift my pen from the paper each time for each letter, gives me more writing time.
So do you try to avoid letters that have T's and I's?
It seems to me that it's coming back around because now more and more, people are using like cell phones and tablets that don't have a keyboard, and you're using a stylus to write on the screen.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm old school. I believe that cursive writing should still be taught. I believe that there should be paper, and you should write, and that the use of computers should be used a little bit less than it is being now in schools, because that's just how I believe it's better, and that's just how I was raised with. I didn't use a computer. The only time I used a computer in elementary school was when I had to do research on something, or I had to download a picture for a project. But other than that, everything was books, paper, pencils. That was it. And
now you can read books on your tablet.
When my son was in grade school, one of the required things for their equipment list was a calculator. And I looked at his teacher and said, he's not getting a calculator. He's going to learn to do it by hand.
So in America,
I am not going to enable him to use a calculator
when
to
I went
learn
to
basic
American
math.
school, it was everybody needed a calculator. But when I was in Japan, it was, if you can't figure out how to do it by hand this way, go to cram school. And there's another method you can use.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know what cram school is.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I have to explain this. So in Japan, you have your normal school. You have your normal classes. They start at like 8:30, 9 a.m., depending on the school and the prefecture and where you live in Japan.
That explains why I heard it first on Mob Psycho.
I lived in Inuyama, which is in Aichi. So...
Lucky you.
I went to school. I did my after-school activities. I went home for a bit, ate dinner, did as much of my homework as I could, and I went to cram school because I was like, I don't get this English thing, which happened more. I sucked at English. I had the lowest score in English. So now I'm in cram school because I don't understand this English lesson, and they would teach me a different method so I could get it, or I didn't get this algebra lesson, and I'd learn a different method to solve the problem. By hand.
That's cool.
And it was basically you speaking to your tutors and stuff and getting the one-on-one help that you needed.
Do you speak fluent Japanese?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You don't have to read the subtitles anymore. Or you probably never had to.
I never had to. I still use CC because I do have hearing problems now.
She can watch Godzilla and know what they're really saying.
But I'm currently watching an anime in RAW, and they do actually have like the Japanese subtitles that I do read, and it's nice because it's helpful.
I gotta learn how to do it, but I know a good amount of Mandarin, so
I know very little Spanish.
No, it's Chinese.
I know.
Oh,
I am trying to learn my 8th language.
Oh, good for you. 8 languages.
Holy
Wow.
crap! Really?
8 languages? Oh
was
my
gonna be
god.
Russian. My 8th language was going to be Russian, but
No need for that now.
no need for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. Well, nobody
I don't-
listens to my idea on anything about schooling anymore since they found out I promote teaching the metric system.
We need the metric system. Did
Wasn't
you hear
the
that
right.
whole?
Didn't
Did you
the
hear
US
that
have
whole
a plan
target?
to change anyway? The U.S. had some sort of a plan to change quite a while ago, but it
Yeah,
never
the
That's when
USA
Jimmy
was
Carter was
supposed to.
president.
Yeah, the USA was supposed to have gone completely metric by the year 2000
Yeah.
until Ronald Reagan got elected, and as a cost-cutting measure, he canceled it so that they wouldn't have to reprint all the highway signs.
It's,
What a cheapskate.
One thing I thought is kind of interesting is there was this Tucker Carlson clip that was like getting passed around recently where they were saying that living under the metric system is living under French tyranny.
He hasn't been to Canada then.
Those people, as dumb as they are, at least a lot of gold comes out of there. They're worth a few laughs.
You laugh in their general direction.
That's a great Monty Python quote.
The whole
I just
movie's
put something in the side chat, and everybody is going to read that and go, "What?"
It's really your fourth language? What?
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. I have to get moving on here. But
Oh,
just
good night, Randolph.
very nice.
Bye,
talking to
Randolph.
all of you. We'll,
Take care, man.
Bye.
Be
Take
safe.
care. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Adios.
We're closing in
Thanks,
on 4
Alfie.
hours.
Catch you later. Yeah, we should probably wrap this up here.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So everybody is aware.
With a
In
nice
case I forget
sparkly
anything.
bow
And a cupcake.
and a cupcake and a nice sparkly bow.
Curtis, he got me addicted to Enter the Gungeon.
I have it on my computer. I haven't started it yet. Should I?
It's so much fun. It's way more fun than it should be. It's just like Binding of Isaac, except with guns.
See, I didn't find Binding of Isaac very entertaining for myself, so.
I love that game too. I don't know. It's roguelike. It has like a Legend of Zelda kind of like feel to it. And then, of course, dungeon crawling. Always great. I love dungeon crawlers.
I'm currently playing Book of Unwritten Tales.
I have not heard of that one.
It's really interesting. So I beat the first one, and the second one is based off the first one's choices. So I apparently made a choice at some point. And there's an elf character named Ivo, and she is now pregnant and a virgin in the second game in the beginning because of choices I made in the first one. I'm very confused as to what I did, so now I have to play through the first one again.
Wait, she's a pregnant virgin?
Mary!
That's kind of cool.
It's fantastic. So I'm like, what did I do?
It almost sounds like
You
the
wanna hear
Dragon
about-
Age Inquisition like thing.
You want to hear about a funny game? I used to, I played, this is an older game. It was one of those that you had to search for the items to complete the level. And so my character was a guy, he woke up, didn't know where he was, and this angel appeared to him. And the angel was saying how humanity is being taken over by the 7 deadly sins, and it's your job to defeat them. Okay, so I literally had to commit the sin in order to get rid of it, basically. I had to, like, for example, with greed, when I had to get rid of him, I put a bag of money in a cage and lured him in there and set the thing on fire. Just
what game is
point.
this?
And I don't care. I'm gonna try to look up because I can never remember the name of the games. I got rid of it. It's not called the 7 Deadly Sins. It's
I'm watching a show called 7 Deadly Sins currently.
And
Is that the anime, right?
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah, I thought about watching it. I haven't got into it yet. It keeps popping up on Crunchyroll for me.
It's actually really good. My favorite character is Greed and Lust. They're absolutely hilarious to me.
I know. Okay, I looked up the name of the
try
game.
now. Just finished
It's
Mob
called-
Psycho, so I have to I have to find
The
something new.
the game is called Sakura Terra Angelic Knight. I think that's what it's called.
That sounds like an anime too, honestly.
It's not like Japanese anime. It's not.
I'm making a joke about how they name their shows.
Oh.
I recommend Seven Deadly Sins if you ever do get around to it.
I'll probably watch a couple episodes today, honestly, or before I go to bed or whatever.
I'm gonna be heading out, you guys. I've been on since like almost getting close to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the longest hang
It's
out
time
I've
to
ever
shut
been,
this down.
honestly.
So
It's been fun though.
It was really fun. I'm really glad that because when I came up with the idea, because I wanted to talk about it, and I knew we were gonna get way off track, and we did so many times.
It's a damn porn.
Oh, I want to extend an invitation before we go. So I'm planning on holding a hangout celebration for hitting 1,000 subscribers on Friday.
Woohoo!
And if you guys want to come in, you are more than welcome. I'm trying to get the Raging Atheist in there. This one guy's probably going to be in there, and I still have to extend an invitation to Cirrus because Raging Atheist.
It's not a party without Cirrus.
Raging Atheist and Cirrus are the ones that really helped me get as far as I am right now. I'm probably not cool enough for Telltale or Mr. Atheist. I'd invite them too, but.
and it's not a party without Cirrus, especially Fluffy Cirrus.
Hey, look, I'm not even cool enough for Mr. Atheist or Telltale. So
Plushy Cirrus is the real Cirrus.
It's all Cirrus. You know,
so I just brought it up to Cirrus.
Awesome.
I made Plushy Cirrus, right?
Did you really?
Yes, I'm the creator of Plushy Cirrus.
I had no idea. That's amazing.
That's me.
Yeah, Sloth Girl created him from a very basic pattern, but she did the whole outfit and everything to make it look like him.
Did it all freehand.
That's super cool. You did amazing work. You're an artist. I'm not saying that.
That's artiste. Get it right.
Yeah,
artiste. Get it right.
I mean,
when you drink your tea, you put your pinky up.
Yes, I drink my tea with my pinky up.
AR, if it's totally cool with you, I was actually, because you're awesome, I was going to forward you and Cirrus, obviously, and Panda, the prologue to the book I'm currently actually writing.
You're writing a book? That's awesome. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was something else, like you were taking notes. Okay. Nice.
Prologue. All right, well, people, it is time we shut this down. It's getting on the 4 hour mark. So.
You know, we could have a separate stream about what we're writing. So I'm also working on a science fiction novel of my own.
Mine's science fiction fantasy. It's interesting.
So is his.
Oh. Just a quick announcement. I will obviously be posting the exact date, but just want to let everyone else know again that I will be, as One Atheist, One Witch, and I will be doing my very first live stream on my channel soon, hopefully. So when I get that all situated and when I get a date set, I hope everyone can come on and join me because that's my very first live stream. Hope it works. My laptop was kind of wacky today, so.
I am doing a live stream later today's the plan, where I'm going to be gaming and talking about the NIFB. If AR wants to hop in on that.
Yeah, sounds like fun. I could probably do it.
All right, well, I'm
heading
out, you guys. See you later.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye. Bye, chat.
Bye. But yeah. So thanks everyone for agreeing to do this with me because I would have done it on my own channel, but at the time I didn't couldn't figure it out until like the other day.
Oh no, I was glad to be involved with this. And,
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've just started doing the Tuesday at noon chats. My main thing is I've been doing them Thursday at midnight.
Yeah.
I'm usually up at that time, so.
Yeah, well, that's a Thursday at midnight. I bill it as hanging out with insomniacs and Australians.
I don't think I'd know an insomniac.
Yeah, then we'd have the people from England wandering in the wee hours of the morning as they were getting up, and they were complaining about the time I started it. So that's when I decided to start doing this. So this is kind of, prime time for the UK.
That makes sense. I keep forgetting that like our platforms reach international levels at sometimes.
I do as well, and then people are like, I'm from like Ireland and I watch your channel, and I'm just like, why?
I'm trying to reach somebody who works at the research station in Antarctica, because at this point that's the only continent I don't have a friend on yet.
That's awesome. That'd be really cool if you did. Just make friends with the penguins. That counts, right?
That's just one of my goals with my YouTube channel now.
I need to hug a penguin now. Thanks.
You're welcome. Penguins are just too cute. With them in
They
their
are
little
so
tuxedos.
freaking adorable. I also happen to really love Stitch, in case nobody could tell.
I didn't. How? What?
Oh.
And the chat, I joke around all the time with Spooky Bad Hair, and there's Stitch.
There's two.
He said that, awesome. Hey, at Math Pig, Stop the Atheist is my first wife. Watch it. I love joking around with them. And I said, oh, you're jealous.
I also really like Stitch. I also have a tattoo of Stitch, because I have a lot of tattoos.
I have none.
I've been wanting to get like a hydrogen atom or like something along those lines tattooed somewhere on my body. It's either that or like a super
something interesting.
Well, I wanted to connect it to like the fact that we're that Carl Sagan quote, like we're all stardust.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think my next tattoo is a Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn tattoo.
Harley Quinn's awesome.
That's badass.
And it's going
I'll
to
ship
cover,
that couple any day.
Well, it's going to cover my where I got hit in Syria and some other scars. So.
Oh, I'm sorry that happened. That's a cool way to cover it, though.
That's going to be a fun way to cover it. If I'll find a tattoo artist who's like, oh, you have stretchy skin, that's going to be fine.
Oh, they do tattoo artists like tell you no sometimes because of whatever reason? Oh, geez.
That's my issue.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Wow.
Also, one of the other issues of having my connective tissue disorder is soft, velvety, smooth skin, which you think wouldn't be a problem. It's like you never get acne. Right?
Wrong. I didn't know that was a thing either.
So my skin tears very easily. My skin bruises very, very easily. And I don't sweat properly.
Ouch.
So I sweat in like 2 spots on my entire body. So I overheat a lot.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Yeah, I sweat too much, honestly.
Okay, well, I'm going to shut down the broadcast here.
Yeah.
So, hi to everybody in the side chat, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you. You didn't answer my question, Spooky.
And we'll tangent off and like run for another 3 hours.
Yeah, well, Of course,
We never left the tent.
Check out my channel. I actually did post a new video last night, only to find out that YouTube has changed things again, and I can no longer schedule when they're released. It just releases it whenever it decides it's finished processing.
There's a way to do the Premiere process. I'll show you how to do it later.
Well, yeah, you can do it as a premiere, you know, if you're going to be there talking to people, but when I'm making videos that are less than 10 minutes, that doesn't seem to make sense to do.
It seems to be the only way of like scheduling it out.
Yeah, well, it is now. Last time I did it, it wasn't. So, but anyway.
Honestly, though, you might want to do the premieres anyways because it opens you up to. Wait, never mind. I don't think you're there. Monetization. They can give you like super chats and stuff.